This is the Date Night Dice Podcast, a podcast mostly about board games.
Probably not.
Hello and welcome to episode number 40 of the Date Night Dice Podcast. Yes, you heard that correctly. Date Night Dice had just hit the big 4-0. On tonight's podcast, Emily's going to do her best to keep us from talking only about Elden Ring. So good luck, Em.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the couple of actual tabletop games we played, and I started watching TV again. So we'll talk about some TV shows, and we'll probably talk a little bit about Elden Ring. Anyway, I'm Ben.
I'm Em.
I'm Ken.
And welcome to the show, everybody. Okay, let's just get this out of the way.
Let's start and end
off the
with
top.
That.
We'll just get it out of the way off the top. The elephant in the room. If anybody listened to the podcast feed or tuned into the stream from last week, Ken and I started playing a new video game called Elden Ring. I think that our initial thoughts, we spent a significant amount of time on it, and we'll probably do another bonus final thoughts. I think it deserves probably a full review at the end once we've... I don't want to say...
Is this a game you complete, or is this a game you just
Not really.
finally...
I don't think you ever finish this game. And if you do, you restart again.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be fun. Yeah, right. It would be fun to play as a completely different build, because when you play the game, you have stats, and you sort of like build into a class. It's not like, like when you play Dungeons and Dragons, you pick your class up front, and then you level up in that class, and then the class provides you with the abilities. Yes. And then typically there's subclasses. Like I play a cleric, so they're called different domains. I'm a life domain cleric, so when I level up in D&D, I get more and more healing abilities. In Elden Ring, you find equipment, but it can, and this includes stuff things you equip on yourself. So these are prepared spells and armor and shields and whatever. But you can only use things if you've spec'd your stat points in a certain direction. So I can't use any spells because the two stats that you use to cast spells, whether they're incantations or sorceries, which are faith or intelligence, are the stats associated with those. I don't have any of those. I can't cast any spells except the baby healing one.
That's crazy.
Except for the what one?
Baby, it's like my first healing spell, and it heals so little. It heals so little, I would never cast it.
I'm just making sure I actually heard you saying baby healing, so.
Right.
You got it right.
The only thing, I don't want to get too deep into it, because there's probably another time and a place for that. I could see I could talk all night about it. I could.
Oh, yeah. We could talk for 6 hours straight, and then we just go play it and talk while we played it.
Right. We'll just both be playing
Maybe you should do this is the kid's dream, like a 24/7, 24 hours playing Elden Ring.
Oh, I could do that.
I could play it, no problem, 24 hours straight. Yeah. It's not a question of if I could. It's if anybody else could bear with me as I went through it.
What I would love to do, it would be to somehow have... what we could do? Actually, we could do it where we could both be streaming into StreamYard our gameplay and ourselves, and we could swap back and forth and stuff.
Wow.
If we really wanted to do something like that, all you'd have to do, Ken, is install OBS and run the virtual camera. It's like a part of OBS now. It's not even a plugin.
Interesting. I liked our initial thoughts thing because we pre-recorded some stuff of each of us playing. Then we sort of talked over it, which I thought gave, it doesn't do much to talk about the game without showing what's happening in it. And so we wanted to give something for people to look at. It would be interesting to do that at the end, but also, I don't know, live stream's tough because it would just be me swearing and sweating.
Right. I don't think I want to talk while I'm playing. It's funny because Ken's brother Rob played the Dark Souls games, and he was always trying to get us to play them.
Yeah.
And I always said no. Yeah. And so we've been playing Elden Ring, and he is hungry for some gameplay footage because he's newly married and he's a busy young lawyer, and for whatever reason, he doesn't have time to play video games.
Sounds like you're It's like a TV show. A
It
young,
is a TV
busy
show.
lawyer just got married.
Moved to the fresh to the East Coast.
Fresh to the East.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
She wants to start a bakery. They fall in love when he spills coffee on himself or something. Yeah, pretty accurate.
I'm pretty sure that's actually exactly what's happened so far.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, here we are playing the game, and he wants to vicariously play it through us. So, Ken and I have been recording our gameplay, and as what I was trying to get at as a part of that, a couple of people said, "This is cool, but I wish you were streaming it, or I wish you were at least talking about what you were doing."
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that at all. And as much as that would be a much more interesting video to watch, these gameplay recordings are for Rob to, get to watch us play.
You don't
and
even want to talk over him?
well, the nice thing is I get to see Ken play, and I don't need Ken telling me what he's doing. I just want to see Ken play, and I like that I can share what I'm doing with my friends. And if
Yeah.
other people want to watch, by all means, please tune in. I have a bunch of gameplay footage up on the Date Night Dice YouTube channel now.
Well, clogging up the YouTube.
But I don't think I could play. I don't think I could. Yeah, right. Well, I stuck them in a playlist.
It's
so.
like 84 clips.
It is. It's a lot. There's a lot up there.
But would you want to do, if you were playing and not talking too much, would you want someone else to talk? Like if Ken's also watching, or would that be
Oh, that'd be cool.
too confusing?
I don't know though, because such a huge, fun, great part of this game is exploring naturally. So there's massive parts of this game where I would say you don't know what you're doing necessarily, other than
That's true.
I found a cave, I'm going into the cave. There are story elements which you could explain, but those are probably considered spoilers, I guess, even though there's
Yeah,
really not
right.
much story here.
Well, and I definitely I've been playing where, let's say the introductory area, Limgrave.
That would be, you could restart. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. But playing that area, I played through it, and then I was like, I think I'm done. And then that was the point at which I looked up what else is there to find here.
Mhm.
But every time I've gone into an area, a new what are the zones? The map's
Yeah.
kind of like in zones. I make sure I have not looked at what's there.
Right.
At
Right.
cheatcodes.com.
Yeah, because you can go on the wiki and look up what is everywhere,
Wow.
how to do
Yeah.
every boss, how to solve every quest, or
Oh
whatever.
my gosh. Have you seen the map? Where they've created an interactive map where it's it'll show you where every little entrance is and every little boss and every little thing.
That's
Here's
It's just
insane.
you can't see the map
You gonna find
behind
it, Ben?
all of the pinpoints.
I will share that into the
it's
video version here of the
covered
podcast.
that
Yeah, there's so much stuff on the map that you can't see the
that's
map.
crazy though.
Right.
But
Unless
that's
you
not fun. I understand if you can't beat something forever and you're like, I just want to know. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
But
All right. Let's
Well,
see
and even
here.
I've looked up okay, well, what's a good way to level up faster? Because I can't get past a certain point. Where's
which
a good
that
spot to?
makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah. So there you go. You can't see what the land
Like, that's
Look,
looks like.
helpful.
all that's being shared on here is locations.
Oh my gosh.
Now, let me turn on everything that's on the map.
Oh,
It's just gonna.
okay.
Yeah.
Like,
But I guess if
Like-
you're like, I need to find this one thing.
you want to know
and
how
you're
big this game
desperate.
is?
Yeah.
This each
You're
I would
not
say
supposed to finish this game. I don't
each
think.
area is 10 to 20 hours of gameplay.
So there's 1,
Holy
2,
crap.
3. There's at least 5 areas, I think.
At least that's just based on my experience, right? Like the Weeping Peninsula and Limgrave was
They're
about
the same thing.
15 to 20 hours.
Yep.
There's Caelid, there's the Lake
Christ.
Lernia Lake or whatever. I haven't been up here at all, so
Think of
No,
how many
neither
home
have I.
improvements you could do in 15 to 20 hours.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, if
Those
only.
cost
man.
Well,
money.
too bad,
This is
bitch.
free.
Like,
Yeah.
my God. Well, I'm sure we'll have more videos up. You guys playing or you guys talking about it or whatnot. So if you are interested, just watch
Yeah.
the YouTube.
We'll figure out something.
We'll keep posting stuff or you'll stream stuff live
Right.
just so people can watch.
We could do that. That's fun and easy.
Right.
You don't have to necessarily talk. You can
Yeah,
just-
I think to wrap it up, simply for just this podcast, talking about this video game on the real podcast episode, I would say this is one of the best video games I've ever played because it's an open world that is scary. So there is danger to exploration, but great reward, right?
Yep.
Like the game doesn't continue unless you explore. And in most open world games, you're just like, well, okay, I'm just going to take the road to the next
Shortest
marker.
Mission or
shortest
whatever,
route, right?
Yeah,
And if that
I'd
means
look-
I go right over a mountain, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? I just got to get to the next like guy I talk to or the next
Checkpoint.
fight I do. And
Yeah.
this is you enter an area and you have no idea
Good luck.
what's there.
Good
And around every corner is something that can kill you in 2 hits. Like that never
true.
changes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did see those giant like spider hands. Those are scary.
Oh.
If anybody gets to those, watch out.
I'm not there
Also,
yet, but I've seen them in videos.
Our children were watching, and I was like,
Yeah.
if
not-
I was a kid,
not
Nightmare
child-appropriate.
City. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would not recommend
The
playing
kids,
around your kids.
I need the kids, otherwise I'm too scared.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
That's
you
fair.
can stay up at night with them then, if that's the case. You can sleep in the bunk
can-
beds with them.
You can turn the blood off in the menus, but it doesn't make it any less scary.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it's not the
change
blood.
anything.
It's like the creepy.
You mean it doesn't
yeah.
change Godric the Grafted to not being the Grafted?
Oof,
Ugh.
gross. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yuck.
Yeah, there's definitely some creepy things in there.
Yeah.
But
All right, what else have we been up to?
well, I think for the last podcast, right after it, we had Ryan and Natalie from the Gamecasters came to our house. I think it was right
Nice.
after.
Yeah, I think
Right?
so.
And that
Sounds
came
right.
about because our kids get along. Their kids and our kids get along well, and they are always asking for a sleepover. And so it's like we finally said, well, okay, let's.
Who's asking? Your kids, their
ki- the-
kids, or Ryan?
All of the above.
Right.
All the above.
Okay.
So we had like a long weekend, like a Friday and a Monday off thing for the
Nice.
kids. And so we're like, okay, this is a good weekend to actually do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they came to our house and they slept over for the night. So that was fun because they were here Friday, slept over, and then most of Saturday, actually until like the evening. It was to the point where we're
Wow.
like, do you guys
Cool.
want to stay over again? Because it was
Yeah.
like getting late.
It's getting
but
late.
Yeah.
but that was fun. We attempted to play Brick and Mortar and Obsession, which are 2 longer games, and we didn't finish either. We like started, and then there was so
What?
much kids stuff that it was always
Okay.
like.
Sure.
And then we played a bunch of little games. We like went out for pizza, like all the kind of just hung out more than games in some ways.
Nice.
The amount
Which
of
was nice, though.
mental energy and discussion that went in the whole week leading up to them coming up was like, what are we going to play? What makes sense? What would everybody like? And what haven't
Yeah.
you played? What should we try? And we finally settled on Brick and Mortar and Obsession. Friday night, we got through 1 round of Brick and Mortar. And Saturday, we got through maybe not quite
Not
half
quite
of
half,
Obsession.
but close.
And both times it was just like, all right, this isn't going to happen.
This isn't working.
No? Did you guys have fun at least, though?
It was fun. It was just
Good.
like, oh, now it's time for the kids to brush their teeth. Now it's time to
Yeah.
like, and then by the time that's over with, you're like, let's just get a card game out or
Well,
whatever.
exactly. Because we're gamers, you'd think we're going to get together to play games, but it's really we always seem to end up getting together because the kids like to hang out, and so then it's a play date.
Yeah.
And this just happened to be a sleepover play date, but it still was a play date, and it was just there was 6 kids there.
that's a
someone
lot.
always needed a snack, like at
Yep.
some point. So
Yeah.
after a while, but we did play a few. You wrote down, Ben, what we played.
Yeah,
though.
well, we ended up playing small stuff. So we played The Game, which I'd never played. We actually played that quite a few times. This
that
is
was fun.
everybody gets dealt some cards, and you're trying to play them. 2 piles are going in ascending order, and 2 piles are going in descending order. There's a couple more rules than that, but that's the gist. And I could sit around and play the game all day, like just chit chat with people. But on your turn, you have to make hard decisions of the cards in your hand. You have to play them onto these piles of cards. And let's say you're going in ascending order, and the cards go from 1 to 99. So let's say there's a 13 on a pile, and your lowest card is 35, and then let's say there's 85 on the descending pile, and your highest card is like 50. You're like, well,
Yeah,
or
you're essentially
45.
gonna like ruin a pile.
You got to ruin one of the piles. Like there's nothing you can do about it.
So you can't like say what your cards are. You can kind of be like, "Hey, don't touch this pile." And there's a couple of other little things, but overall, it's just a fun, laid back card game.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit, a distant cousin to Racco, where you're just creating your own
Yeah.
pile of
Yeah, exactly.
ascending or descending order cards. It's good
I know
stuff.
we also played
Yeah.
Can't Stop, which I had never played before, and I don't
not
remember
bad.
off the top of my head how it works, other than that I was unable to stop.
I don't remember.
Or
that
did
one
we
at
play?
all.
No, did we play Can't Stop, or we played For Sale?
Don't know either of those.
I don't know. We played one of those two.
I'm
Either
sure
way, you couldn't
right now,
stop,
Ryan
though,
is
huh?
like, I know what we play.
I'm not
I
sure
don't
what
know.
we
Remake?
played.
Yeah.
And we played Roll for It because that's one of Natalie's favorites, according to Ryan.
What does that mean? That's a
It was
loaded.
not.
She was like rolling her eyes at him the whole time, and he was like, "I don't know. You said you wanted to play this game."
Roll for It is just there's a card out that. Whoops, sorry, Ben. That is like has dice on it, and it'll say like 3 threes, and you just
Okay,
roll your
sure.
dice until you get that. Essentially,
roll for
there's
it.
like a bunch of cards you can put your dice like on them to go for it, and
Huh.
that's it. It's
Huh.
like just rolling. It's just rolling for it. That would be, I feel like, a good game for kids, though, in a way, if you were trying
Yeah.
to like match up
Yep.
the numbers and stuff.
Yep.
But that game was just, hey, somebody's so drunk they can't figure out a game. Can you roll dice? And
Right.
the
That's
answer
like
is
minimum
yes.
viable
can.
product for a shippable game.
Yeah.
It has cards and it has dice. What do? The cards tell you what to do with the dice.
Yeah, exactly. It is very
That's
minimal.
it.
But if you were in an awkward hangout situation,
Sure.
it gives you something to do.
Well,
Yeah.
if you were at a bar, then Roll for It would be fantastic.
That would be
roll
great,
for
where
it.
you're like,
Don't have to
yeah,
hear,
everybody
don't have to
got
talk.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It
it's
is
my
good for
turn.
those kind.
I rolled 2 twos. I'll put it on the card that has a couple twos on it.
Mm-hmm.
All
There
right,
you
your
go.
turn.
Winner.
That's
Yeah.
where I could see that game, like because, yeah, I have played games like Dead Man's Draw at the bar, and even that is just. I don't want to think hard a lot of times especially if you're hanging out with people you haven't
Yeah.
talked to in a while or something, but
Yeah.
you just want to have something that you're doing sometimes, right? And
Yeah.
this would be a good Roll for It. Would be a good.
That would
game
be
for
a
that.
good
could
like
see that.
bar game, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. And in what is it? It's Wednesday. Jeez, I can't figure out the days. In a couple days, we're gonna see them again. We're gonna go Traverse City with them without the kids
Wow.
this time.
Whoa.
So maybe we'll get through a game. We'll see if
Gonna
we
get
can all
off the
focus.
chain.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we're gonna
get a little
wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was. We haven't done much else. Honestly, we have not played games because I haven't even been in the mood to play games. Really.
Well, I have I've been working on
Yikes,
a
the way you said
work
that.
project for 2 years, and it culminates in the startup that will be occurring in a couple of weeks. I am the
That's
software
right.
lead on that project, so it is a multi-million-dollar, multi-year project, and
Fun.
let's just say it's
It's been stressful.
stamping
Gonna
out
end
my
badly or what?
no, but it's just I just
Watch
don't
the
want to read a
news.
rule book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's by the time it's bedtime. I'm like, I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to do any. I
Yep.
don't want to think. So
I know
we
it.
haven't done much when it comes to games. But
That's all right.
Well, fortunately for us, we did a little bit of housework around the house. But Ken, I thought I saw that you had a waterfall
that's
coming
what I
into
was
your
just
house.
gonna say.
Oh, hard. Well, let's not blow it out of proportion. Do you have a picture? Are you pulling up a picture of my house?
No, I don't have a
No.
picture.
Okay. No. We had. What
It's
did
a
we
literal
have? Gosh.
waterfall.
Well,
yeah, I should have said, yeah, I have a picture right here, and it's a waterfall. I'm not that prepared.
no,
I
it's
did see
we
though, like I could hear the water. I should say
we have
that
a very
Megan
strange
showed.
fake shiplap wall in our house. Like
Mm-hmm.
real shiplap is like not quite tongue and groove. It's a particular type of wood and a particular cut. The previous owner just slapped 1x6s on the wall and painted
Yeah.
them white and very poorly. And
Do they overlap at all?
They Joanned it. They
No,
just
you
were
can
like,
just-
we're going for
just
Yeah.
1-day project only. And so, but what happened? Excuse me. What happened was we had freakishly warm weather. It was about 45 on Saturday,
Yeah.
with plenty of snow to melt, and then we had a full blown thunderstorm.
Man,
Like
that's always so
downpour
weird
rain,
when it's
right.
like winter, essentially winter,
there's-
but like thunder. That's
Right.
always
So
weird.
the snow is turning into ice, and it's raining, and the snow is melting, and so we had pests in the past, mice problem, come up from this location somewhere in the lower level of our house. It's sort of a basement, and I knew there must be some way they're getting in there. Lo and behold, you could stand next to this wall and hear water running down it. It
That's
wasn't
not a good
that
sign.
much. It was maybe like 10 or 20 gallons at the end of the day.
Ooh, that's still
Okay.
more than I want in my basement.
But
It was
the fact
enough that
like,
it was
you
a
could
problem.
Hear it.
Yeah.
Right. So we pulled out baseboards, and because it is, we are partially underground here, you could see it dripping into the bottom of the foundation. We have a wood foundation, first of all, so it's not
What?
cresting over a brick foundation. It is running
Weird.
through a wood foundation. Yeah. It's 2x6s every 12 inches on center. Sometimes they do it 2x8. It's just I don't know
Okay.
why
Oh,
they
that's
did it.
weird.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know that was
I
like,
mean, it's-
okay.
Yeah.
That's why I don't build houses.
well-
What's on the
so-
outside of that? Like, what's against the dirt?
Some kind of wood, and then multiple layers of
I've never even seen that before.
Yeah, I didn't know that was.
yeah. I don't know. Grandpa told me about it, but so we had water, and then we're actually getting carpet in that exact area tomorrow.
Are you guys still doing it?
Well, that's the question.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna go for it because I went and I cut open the wall and I
Mhm.
found the hole because I knew
That
it
is
was
true.
in there.
Yeah.
And I found it, and I sent Ben a video. You could see where the outside, like plastic weather sheathing, you could push away. And so I
Okay.
pulled it back as close as I could, screwed it in, taped it, and then filled it with stuff and all that.
I hope it's like
question
literal
is-
just stuff. Like just
I just put
No,
stuff in there.
It's just Flex
Kids'
Seal.
toys.
If you want something to be waterproof,
Yeah, do
you
you
know what
wanna-
to use.
Yeah, right.
If you want to go like boating with a screen
Yeah.
door, I think you know what to use.
If the
Yeah.
bottom of your rowboat was a screen door
Just
and you
Flex Seal
needed
it.
to fill it in.
I just love that
The
scenario.
thing is, a screen door, while very porous, the pores are quite small. It's not a
Right.
1 inch
It's not a
by
hole.
5 inch
like a
hole.
Not a
hole, yeah.
hole.
Like if
right.
a mouse.
What are you supposed
right.
to do? Like hold your hand
I
behind the
guess you
Flex
just
Seal?
you do what
Yeah.
Ken did. You just put stuff.
You
You
put,
put
olive
random
oil on
stuff
your
in there,
hand,
and
and
then
put
you
your
put
hand
Flex
behind it,
Seal.
and then you spray your hand. No, so I patched this hole, and I'm like, okay, I'm leaning into the fact that we had good luck and had water 5 days before we got carpet,
Yeah,
or
that
I'm
is
going to regret
nice.
this deeply. I don't know.
How much carpet we talking?
It's like $650 worth of carpet. It's a very small area.
That is, maybe it is a blessing in disguise,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like
Right?
it's nice that it happened.
Here was the thing
before.
that could wreck your carpet right before you put the carpet in, and you get to fix it.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. I'm like, okay, we're going to go with it because
I mean, I guess if
was
it
a
happens again,
freak
you know, just
weather
not
thing.
to do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll
But-
see.
I mean, we definitely have been in that spot where
Right.
it was like, well, carpet was a bad choice. So,
Well,
Right.
and now
but
we're
ours
kinda-
was a lot more. So I
That's
mean,
right,
if it's
yeah.
a small amount, I feel like go for it. Hopefully you fixed it, and
Yeah, well, the
fingers
next
crossed.
in summer here, the problem is to get to it from the outside, it's under our deck, and there's about 8 inches of clearance, so I can't get under there.
Oh,
so
no.
in
Green need a
summer,
kid
I
to
gotta
go under.
pull up the board. No, I gotta pull up the board.
You know what I'm saying, Quinn?
Right.
Quinn, hold this
With the
camera and
Flex
this
Seal?
drill.
She could do it, and she would do it, but I'm not gonna make her do it. So I gotta
Hold
pull up
this
the
Flex
deck
Seal.
to get under there and make sure it's all buttoned up. But
Mhm.
you know, barring another 50-degree rainstorm in February, I think we'll be okay.
Nice.
Well, hopefully
Fun
you're
stuff.
good to go.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
It's not fun though.
No.
Water in basements is not fun in
Yep.
general. So
I keep waiting for the warm weather. Like every time it'll be like you get to go for a run and it's freaking freezing or snowing, and I'm running through actual falling snow. It was snowing so hard the other day. I was like, should I go back to my house and put goggles on? Or
it was so hard
I
the other
couldn't
day.
see.
It just walking through a parking lot, you had like 2 inches of snow on your head just from going.
Really?
Like it was so hard. It was like the big fluffy flakes. I think because it was warm the day before.
But then
Yeah.
it'll heat back up, and the rail trail here, which I actually haven't been to in a long time, but
That's good.
they plow and brush it off. So then you have a warm day by the afternoon. It's dry.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
You know, and
then
it's
when I
like-
went the next day, it was like a couple inches. So it keeps.
Nice.
It's been crazy.
I feel like we haven't had snow since January. It's been a good 5 or 6 weeks since we've had
Yeah.
real snowfall. It's just been cold.
We had. I mean, it hasn't been that cold, but the kids had a snow day last week, just because,
What?
which I didn't even know it was supposed to snow. And then it got warm, and then, like Ben said, it snowed the next day. But because it was warm, everything was
Right.
pretty much gone. But it snowed a lot then. Like, we're back to normal snow again because of it. Which
Right,
it
but
can
it's
be done.
it's late enough in the winter that we have a gravel driveway that I'm kind of like I could probably just not shovel that. Like I'll just
Yeah.
leave it.
Oh,
and
it's
it'll
like
be all right.
it'll melt
Yeah.
by.
it'll
this
be
is-
fine.
We're
Good
we're
enough.
early March, mid-March. This is classic. It'll melt territory
Yeah.
It'll melt.
for your driveway, right?
I'm over it. I am done
Yeah.
with this. I'm not shoveling anymore. I
have
shoveled
a-
for the mailman quick, but that's it. Like just a
We've
little
got-
path.
We've got our driveway, and then it kind of branches out a little bit towards a third garage, and that's where I pile the snow in March. I'm not. Nobody's going in that third garage.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna scoop. Warm. It's that heavy stuff too.
It's-
When it gets really
yeah. It's like almost slush. but
Nobody's
still.
playing b-ball out there, right?
right. Exactly.
Shooting the hoops in the springtime.
Right.
Are they shooting hoops ever?
Well, and
Like-
it's not.
They might
we're not
be.
in. We're not in the Upper Peninsula where that mound will
Ugh.
still be there in June.
Oh my
It'll
god.
be
Oh,
fine.
or you get 4 feet of snow in April or whatever.
Ugh.
All right,
I don't miss that.
I remember there was one time that up at Michigan Tech that it did snow 3 feet. It was 3 feet down where we were in Houghton, and it snowed 4 feet up on
Copper
the top of
Harbor?
the plateau. Yeah, at
Yeah.
Copper
Yeah.
Harbor, up at Mount Bohemia.
Yeah.
And
Did you go
they
skiing?
I skied at Ripley, and I was
Oh.
talking to Green Hat Matt, and he went up to Bohemia, and he was like, "Dude, you should have gone."
I'm sure. I
And
feel
all
like
he did-
that would have been insane.
Just wear a T-shirt.
He was like, I was like, how was it? And he was just like, dude. And he was like, he didn't say anything. He was just going like this to show how deep the snow was.
like up to like his rib cage.
Yeah.
It's like so. That's what I was gonna say. I bet if you fell in, it was just like it's just a powder that you kind of fluff in.
Yeah.
Goes up to your shoulders and then you climb back out.
I know we've said this on the podcast before. It was a long time ago. So like, remember Ken when we were out in Colorado? We're at
That
the
was the
grocery
best.
store, and there's Green Hat Matt, and he's like, he didn't even act surprised.
You have to. Okay,
He-
but the thing is, it was this guy around Michigan Tech. We're talking about Michigan, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. This guy who went to Michigan Tech, he always had a green hat on, Green Hat Matt.
Yeah.
I even remember, I didn't even go to school there, and I would see him all the time. And then you guys
Yeah.
go out to Colorado, and he's like in the grocery
He
store.
was in the bread aisle. I remember. He just like, and we were goofing around. It was early too. It was like 6:30 in the morning.
Right.
You and
Yeah,
I would
we'd
get
always
and
get up at, like,
groceries and
6.
stuff and make breakfast. And they're like, "Hey, what's up, Green Hat Matt? Oh, hey guys, what's going on? You on the hill
Like-
today?" Like,
Like-
A, he knew we were there. B, this is where we were all supposed to be.
right.
You know. But he was in my department. He was materials science, and he was
Oh,
always
okay.
just like, man, that guy lived in the lab. Actually, he was really smart. But
Man.
yeah, he did not care. He's like, all right, I'll see you out there. Didn't see him again. Never saw him again.
That you know what, when we were like 21, 22 or whatever, when that happened, it was like, this is crazy. You know, thinking back on it, that's insane.
That you
Like,
guys
it
ran
is.
it. Yeah, it's
We
really
drove
crazy.
23 hours straight to
ran
see
into
some
him.
dude that like I run into every day. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Crazy.
Oh man.
All right. I think we'll move on, guys. Emily has something prepared for me here that I have to read. Let me get some
It's
good
an
background
admission of
tunes
guilt.
popping. Yeah.
Oh,
Whoa.
what is
Okay.
this?
I would like to announce a giveaway on the Date Night Dice
The way you
podcast.
did
We
that.
are giving away the expansion to Lost Ruins of Arnak. Lost Ruins of Arnak Expedition Leaders. So here it is, right here
Whoa.
in Shrink. We're giving this copy away. In this expansion, you have 6 unique leaders, each equipped with different abilities, skills, and starting decks. Alternative research tracks are also available that offer even more variety in a new version of the Stone Key Artifact and the Minor Assistant. Whoa. Emily must have got this from Board Game
I
Geek or
copy
something.
and pasted. I'm not like writing.
New
up
item
and
cards,
down.
artifact cards, site tiles, assistant titles, guardian tiles, research board, roll tokens, and expedition leaders board. We have played with the Expedition Leaders expansion,
We have.
and I like it. If you like
Arnak.
Lost Ruins of Arnak, I feel like it's a good expansion. All right, how to enter the giveaway. There are 2 ways to enter this giveaway. You can like the Instagram post for this podcast. For episode 40, go to the Date Night Dice Instagram, and all you got to do is click the like button.
Yeah, this will be out Monday, March 14th. That podcast.
Go
one.
look for that post. If you comment on the post with your favorite part of this podcast, you get an additional entry in the drawing. For people who are not Instagram users or don't want to come like our Instagram post, you can email us directly at benmdatenightdice@gmail.com. Make sure you put the subject giveaway. If you write some fun stuff in
As
the email.
if we get like so many emails, just so I can sort them, guys. It's gonna be like one email.
But you can email for a chance to win.
Yeah, that's
and
fine.
just like on the post where you could comment, if you write in the email some stuff you like or dislike about the podcast, feel free to give us some feedback. You'll get an additional entry.
But this is only U.S. Sorry.
U.S. only
it's-
because I don't want to deal with international shipping. I don't even
pain.
know how that would work. So
I had to ship to the UK one time for like a gift exchange thing, and it was such a pain in the butt, and it was so expensive, and so I'm sorry. Unless someone emails us and they're like, I'm willing to pay $50 in shipping, something insane. Sorry, I don't want to deal with it. But yeah, and this is... I tried to make it super easy because this is honestly, we have an extra copy like by accident. It's
you're not
not
supposed to tell everybody that.
They're
No,
doing this out of the
I'm being
generosity of their
serious.
own hearts. They
No,
went out
but
and
I
bought
mean,
this.
it's not because I'm like, we gotta get more followers. It's more just we have this and it's been laying around and I feel bad that like someone isn't using it. So let's just give it away.
We accidentally got 2.
Yeah, that's honestly it. So I'm
So-
trying to make it super easy. Just like the post.
Like the
That's
post
it.
or email us, benmdatenightdice@gmail.com. We will accept entries until Monday, March 21st, and then we'll do the drawing. So look for
Nice.
that in the future.
Cool.
Wow, this like
Darn it,
playlist.
Guys, I had a really good idea during that
Yeah?
psychedelic trance.
Oh man.
You need to record this sound. Oh, and that sound means it's time for a break.
Ooh.
Oh,
can do that.
That kind of just sounded like an underwater fart. But
I
I'm
was
sure
really
you could
hoping
find
you
like
were. I
could
was
find
really
an
hoping it was going to
empty
be
drink
like
sign.
clinking ice and then like
Right.
sipping through a straw, and you're going to be like, and that means it's time for Ken's Kitchen.
Oh, mine's
Oh, no.
We need a sound effect that's like
What is Ken's
pots
Kitchen?
clanging or whatever. Are you trying to tell us that you would like a break,
Cussing?
Ken?
No, I'm not actually. I genuinely just thought of that. No.
It's like when you hear like
good.
this is his secret. That's when
When
he
you-
needs a break.
When I come up with a new
Oh,
joke
man.
about what sound effect you should use. Yeah.
When the
Can't do it
Gamecasters
fast, yeah. When you hear the bong rip, that means it's time
Ken
for
needs a break.
we were playing D&D the other day, and we went into a room with a genie and a hookah, and we were like, "What's up?"
Dang,
Like,
nice.
of course,
Did someone get out a real one and
Seth
pass it
was like,
around?
"I immediately go to the hookah and sit on the couch."
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Seth like legit like opened up a bag
So
and
Seth
took one
went
out.
to his car and got his hookah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
Oh man, I
No?
love Seth.
Well, that's why I thought he like planned ahead of time and had some,
That would be good,
Yeah.
actually. If you'll follow me this way to complete the interaction, and you have to go to a room and
Yeah, you
smoke
have to
hookah
actually be
with the
doing that in
genie.
order to.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And then you continue playing, and everyone's like a little bit out of it.
Yeah,
Oof.
good stuff.
Man, speaking of a little bit out of it, like the last time we played, so on Monday, Quinn made a bunch of syrups for cocktails. So, and not like I'm gonna make some simple syrup. He made like his lemon syrup. He made used maltic acid to extract from the lemon peels
I don't
that
even
like
know what
sort
that
of like
means.
lemony flavor. It was imagine like when you put almost like when you put like a lemon candy in your mouth, like the punch of that. It was
Yeah,
almost like
sure.
sharp lemon.
Whoa.
So good.
He made what was called a penicillin, which was
Oof.
you use some sort of bourbon, which is like the main alcohol, and then you use some lemon syrup, ginger syrup, and honey syrup, and then you put a
Whoa.
little, you just put a little floater on top of a good,
Cough syrup. You just
no,
rip.
an Irish,
Right.
what's Irish whiskey called?
Ibuprofen?
No, what's Irish whiskey called?
I don't know the first thing
What
about
are you talking about? I don't know.
whiskey.
Like, why would
Irish
I, yeah.
whiskey.
Like, shoot. Anyway,
Lucky Charms? What do you? I
Like,
don't know
what are you
you're
asking
saying.
for?
no, but it was something that was like super peaty. It smelled very like earthy.
Earthy?
Oh, like a smoked thing or
yeah,
what?
it was sort of like that.
Okay.
And
Smoked in like
that
a
drink,
roll
so
of
the
sod.
drink, it was like pure alcohol essentially, and it tasted so good. It was insane.
Let me
So,
guess, you drank too many.
well, yeah, but by the time we started, because we were a little late starting, we'd all had two already.
Holy
So
crap!
Whoa.
Yeah,
So
it
it
was
was
a-
a wild ride.
it was a good time.
Is that when the genie came?
It took us
Yeah.
so long. All we did
you
was
make
walk
up
down
the
a
genie
hall.
story because you were
There was
also,
no
and now
genie.
you're talking about walking down halls, and I'm not sure if you guys are just drunk in Quinn's house, or are you
You're like,
playing
"Whoa,
D&D?
man."
In game, we're in a dungeon. We were walking down a hall that was full of water, and we found essentially a deeper part, like a well you could swim down. It had a valve at the bottom, and it took us
Yeah.
about an hour to get to the point of like
Man.
we're at the valve.
Then we walked.
How'd you
into-
guys get down
this
there
is
without
just
drowning?
A trip you guys.
We have
had
spells.
at Ryan's house. This
We
is
have
just
spells.
a bad trip you guys had.
Do you guys want to go
He
down
had-
the well, or
Yeah.
should we like?
In-
Were you like super
in
wasted?
5e, you can hold your breath for your
In
your
what?
strength modifier is 1 minute plus your strength
Fifth edition.
modifier.
5e.
Okay,
fifth
I
edition.
didn't hear what you said. Okay,
Yeah.
This just sounds like you guys got high off of
Yeah.
Seth's bong and some of these drinks. Ryan had a leak in his basement, and you went down in the basement and
and he's like,
fixed it.
"Whoa, man!"
Well,
like when
well,
they
once we walked past, we
I'm gonna
got
have
to
to
the,
hold my breath.
Here I go, guys.
Sorry,
like, can you
sorry,
just?
sorry.
we walked down the hallway
We
and
went
it
too
opened
far.
into a sort of like a let's call it like a chamber with a big pool in the center, and
Yeah.
in the middle was sort of like on a dais on an island
It's called that.
were some mermaids,
Whoa!
and
I
they
feel...
were singing a song. Yes.
Was it like flashes to the lighthouse? Were you having
Oh,
trouble?
man.
Seth failed his wisdom saving throw, so he was charmed by the mermaids, and he immediately swam out to their island.
Oh my
And
god!
we went out there to get them, and it turns out they were just in disguise, and they were kelp monsters.
What?
Classic.
This is classic mermaids.
The charm they had put on him
nickel
was
for every time a kelp monster
Tricked you into
tricked
thinking
me
it's a
for thinking they
mermaid.
were mermaids.
the charm
oh,
they put
man.
on him was to swim down to the bottom of the well and take a breath.
Whoa,
Yeah, it was
First of all-
not
wild
very
stuff.
not discreet with
Yeah.
the charm there.
Let me kill you ASAP.
Yeah.
This,
All right.
you guys were all just drunk wandering around the house. That's what I think we
Yeah,
came to
I
the
like that this is
conclusion.
like Percy Jackson and the, I don't know, adventure of whatever, but in reality, you guys were just high and drunk.
The adventure of whatever. Well, then I tried some of that Scotch was the word I was trying to think of earlier.
Scotch
Guys,
is
That's not
Irish,
Irish
whiskey?
whiskey.
isn't
No.
it? What is it then?
That can't be right. What
Okay, Ken's Googling.
is
I just
Scotch?
if it says Irish whiskey.
Scotch whiskey
Oh,
We'll let him look that up.
well,
made in Scotland.
Okay.
As in distinct from Ireland.
yeah, that's different from
okay.
Ireland.
All right. For any, I hope any, listeners
Irish
from
and
that
Scottish
area of the
people
world are
Yeah.
cringing, and I'm embarrassed because the name of the word sort of tells you
But also,
where it comes from.
newsflash, nobody in the U.S. knows the difference between Ireland,
Yeah.
Scotland, and the UK.
Well, there's whiskeys and bourbons, and there's rye, and like, what is all that stuff?
Wait,
I don't
your
even
whole
know.
point though was then you just had the Scotch, right?
I had the Scotch, and that was a big
You're
mistake. I
wasted
woke
by
up the next
then.
day, and I was a Scotch. So
Oh, no.
He's a Scottish man now at this point.
anyway, why don't we talk about some board games?
Wait, you had such a wild night though. This is like so
Yeah.
entertaining.
All right, so
Was-
what have we played since the last podcast?
Was the well with kelp monsters his sump pump? Is that what this
Maybe
was?
he does have his. There is
When
a
you-
waterfall into his sump pump continuously.
You're
right,
like,
to keep
you
it. Yeah.
guys, are you seeing
Man,
what I'm seeing? And you
it's
guys are like all
like
standing around the sump
crazy.
pump,
Right.
and you're just like,
Five
Uh,
guys standing around the sump.
whoa,
And
like
the
that's
charm
it.
was just a bet. that
Someone's
you'd
in
get
the hall
sump
wandering
pump.
by the well. Like it's just, or no, it'd have to be something else. That's a well.
Man, what a wild night.
It always is.
Okay.
Uh,
We haven't played much.
we played Merchants of the Dark Road again.
Yep.
And I feel like that game gets better with time. Every time I play it, I'm having more fun, especially once you get over the hump of how in the world does this work? Now that I'm just playing it, it's quite entertaining.
It's always super close, like within a couple of points difference. Where it's like if I did this one move, I could have gotten 5 points instead of 3, and that would have it's super close. But I like it.
Yeah, it just feels like every decision is critical. There's only 13 turns, and they're all extremely important, but at the same time, you have no idea if what you're trying to do now is going to work out when you go to try to do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that about the game. It's very unpredictable and interesting.
It was like a minute of silence there.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think of a good way to sort of like say, what do I like about it? I think it's that the decisions are intense. There's a lot of moving parts,
But it's not.
but you only make a few decisions.
It's not like when you're playing it, you're sitting there thinking forever.
But you certainly could.
You could, but I don't know. That's stupid. So, but there's also a lot of parts that change each game depending on kind of what you pull out and what. So it switches it up. It's not the same game every time.
Yeah. Lots of decks, lots of like changeable buildings.
In characters and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. I like it.
It's a good one. That was the joke from that Board Vengers video we made where the conclusion to every
It's
game
good.
we said, I like it. It's a good one.
It's good.
I mean,
What do you
that's
want me
fair,
to say
right?
about a game that I
Yeah.
like? It's good. I like it.
That's a good one.
That was it. At the end, you were like, I hate myself for saying that.
I can't stop.
We played Destiny's two or three more times.
We've the campaign of the base game is 4 missions, and we've played 3 of the 4.
Okay.
And it's getting crazier and crazier.
I have won every single time.
I don't get it. I don't know if you're lucking into it, if you're actually outplaying me. That can't be
I
true.
don't know. No. I have won 3 out of 3 though, and every time I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to the end boss," and Ben's like, "Are you kidding me right now?" And it always works out for me.
I'm like 2/3 of the way to my destiny, and Emily's 2/3 of the way along finishing her destiny. Like, there's a thing where you like get all the stuff to start the end game, and always she's like, oh, I'm ready to go. And she's like, boom, 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 and is like almost done with the freaking end game by the time I'm like, well, I got 2 of the 3 things I need to start
Yeah.
it.
Get good. Time to
Yeah.
get
I'm
good.
bad. I am bad.
Also, my
Stop being
character's
bad.
always evil. Works out for me.
I know.
Yeah.
I was the humble, like the hero character in the last one, and you were like some sort of. There was one
I'm
time you were
always bringing like the devil to the church. Like my person is never
right. The
good.
last time we played, you were like, "Let me
Makes
bring
sense.
the pestilence queen and take over the castle,"
Yeah,
and I was like,
and it
my
worked
whole
out.
thing was I need to stop her, and like put things in order. And we never get to see the good ending. We only ever see the bad
We
ending.
have only seen the bad ending
Because Emily's
every
always
time
winning.
I've been bad.
Well,
Hang it.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah.
I will say one thing about this game, because I always heard like, oh, you have a Destiny, and it's kind of like QR codes, like Chronicles of Crime, but it's a fantasy game or whatever. It's sort of like each one you get a character card, and then that character is your character. Like you don't get to decide I'm good, I'm bad. Like
I mean, you can do the Destinies. You kind of have 2 choices.
you always have 2 choices.
One can be, I think, better. But yeah, you
Okay.
have to pick those. You don't get to be like I'm good because they both might be kind of like not great. So.
Right. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say, like, because I didn't know this on the outside looking in. You don't get to, like, it's not like, we were talking about Elden Ring earlier. I'm going to just be my character and, like, become
Right.
something.
Right.
No, you have to like
you
follow.
get handed a character.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you will play out that character's story, whether you like who that person is or not.
Yeah. But I mean, you do have so there's 3 characters at the beginning. We each pick one. You don't know what their things are, what they're trying to get to. But then on the back of the character, there's 2 options. So you can, whatever, like find 3 knights and help them do blah blah blah, or you can find 4 townspeople
2
or
artifacts
whatever.
and get them anointed by priests.
So they do have 2 options, and you don't have to decide right away. It's not like you pick one. You can start with one and then be like, hey, I actually stumbled upon this instead, and like switch over to. It's just whichever one
Gotcha.
you finish
Right.
first,
Yeah.
which is nice. I like that you don't have to pick one because that would be annoying if you were like, I'm doing this, and then.
Yeah.
So you do get to kind of choose there, but I mean, you don't get to be like, no, I'm good. Like that's not an option, or I'm bad, or whatever. You have to pick one of the 2 things. But they're very easy to explain. It's not confusing.
Though I do like in the beginning of each mission, you're sort of like, you get like Emily said, help 3 knights and they'll help you take back the castle.
Yeah.
And you don't know where the knights are, who the knights are, or what kind of help they need. It's just help 3 knights.
It is you just searching and being like, wait,
Gotcha.
did I hear that a knight's over here? And you're kind of trying. And then once you get to them, sometimes you're like, what am I supposed, I don't get it. Like you see them and they're like kind of douchey or something, or so
Yeah.
it can still be
Classic.
kind of tricky. Classic knight.
Yeah.
But I find it. See, I don't like adventure games usually. I find them boring because there's usually not anything to do. It's like follow the adventure, and what's the point? This one at least there's like a clear ending. You do these things first. You find that like I don't mind this because it's kind of a simple. I don't have to think too much for a game, but I can still kind of explore and find the adventure in it.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's quick, right? There's no lull. You start off and you're like, I know nothing, and then you learn, and it builds, and the story builds, and it's
Yeah.
pushing and pushing and pushing, and then you're in the end game, and you push to some sort of ending, and then boom, it's done, and it's been like an hour and a half or 2 hours if you're joking around while you play it, and that's it. And you got one story in the
ends
books.
though. I'm just not most of the games where it's like, well, the fun is the adventure. I don't care. Maybe that sounds horrible. Like a Lego video game when it's like, well, you can't die. What is the point then? Why am I doing this? And it's like to finish the story. I don't like. But what is the point if I'm not like those kind of things? I don't care about.
Well, it does kind of remind me of like we've played the Seventh Continent, which is way on the other end. It's very similar in like you start somewhere and you're like, I don't know where to go, what to do, whatever. I have some sort of vague directions, and you explore, and that game is cool. while you're exploring and trying to figure out, and you're like, how do I get this submarine to run so I can get to the mainland? And then what's in this cave? And like, what is over here? And
I don't remember this game.
what's
at
this?
all.
You've never played this game.
Okay, thank God. I was like,
it's like it's really intricate and like complex and how each thing leads to
Okay.
another. And but then when you finally sort of like figure out what you have to do to win, a lot of times it's like, oh, that's lame. And a lot of times it's like, I need to go back over here, and you're supposed to like go back through the motions of going back over there. And a lot of times you just want to be like, okay, and we're back over there, and everything went fine probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's the same thing with like time stories, right? Like if you failed twice, you get to the third run, you're like, okay, so we do everything we did on the second run exactly the same up until the point that we made the mistake, and
Yeah,
then
I'm not gonna like.
okay, now we're
Right.
there. And you don't go back through and like roll the dice on every single one and do each thing again, even though you're supposed to,
Right.
because that's not fun
like,
for
what's the
anybody.
point? Yeah.
Right.
No, this is kind of a quick version. I think it's fun because it's pretty simple overall.
Gotcha.
So, but we did that.
The third game we want to talk about today is a game we've been playing for a couple years now called The Taverns of Tiefenthal. And this game, I want to ask you one question because we both like this game. So I don't know that we've ever talked about it on the podcast. For anybody who hasn't played it,
Maybe you
It's-
mentioned it, but not.
it's like a game where you're running a tavern, and it mixes deck building with sort of like a modular player board that is the tavern. And what you're trying to do you're trying to build the points at the end of the game is going to be your deck. And mainly you're trying to get points in there from guests that came to your tavern. Specifically, nobles give you a lot of points. And you get nobles by upgrading your tavern. And you also get more guests by essentially purchasing them from like a deck building. You know, like this is the card
Yeah.
store, but the guests cost beer. Well, the only way to make lots of beer is to make your tavern better by buying workers, and those are a different kind of card that cost gold. So there's two currencies: one to buy workers that you put in your deck to make your tavern work more efficiently. In the end, trying to make more beer so that you can get better guests.
Which
But guests is what gets you money.
it gets you money, but
Yeah.
the tavern board is like little pieces that fit together. So if you upgrade them, you just like flip the piece. It looks like a
Cool.
big puzzle. So
Yeah.
you just flip it, and then obviously you get something better, like 2 beers instead of 1, or whatever. So that's kind of the fun, easy part of being like, ooh, I'm going to upgrade this, and you can flip it really easily.
Nice.
And it costs money to upgrade your tavern. Well, the only way to get money is by having guests come and you serve them. Now, at the same time, everything about your board, the cards, your board itself, it's activated by dice, and dice of certain numbers. It's not necessarily higher is better or lower is worse.
Gotcha.
Though the guests with the higher numbered dice, they typically pay the gold that the dice is. So
Gotcha.
like 5 for a 5, right?
Yep.
So higher numbered guests are better, and they typically cost more beer to put into your deck. So it's this weird balance of like, I need money to upgrade my thing to get more stuff, but guests give me money, but guests cost beer, so I can't get them until I get more
Right.
beer. And it's really like this sort of like tight decision of trying to get two things at the same time that are dependent upon each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Nice
And,
little circle of
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
yeah. Cool.
It's that tight sort of circle of decision making, but the actual like executing of it is pretty easy because on your turn, everybody does this simultaneously. You draw cards from your deck. The workers go to their worker spot and do their thing. The guests go to tables. When you fill up your tables, boom, you stop drawing. So if you draw, let's say you have 3 tables and you drew 3 guests right off the bat, too bad. Like you only draw 3
Yeah.
cards this turn.
Yeah, that's it.
Huh.
And so you're always, even when you have a lot of money to hire workers, let's say. So the more powerful workers, like another table, right? You can have table cards. So a table card comes out. Oh, I got another table I can fill. Or you can have brewers who are going to like multiply by the dice you submit to like brewing beer, they're going to multiply by the brewer, so you can get more beer, so you can hire better guests that'll get you more money and more points. Those cards are expensive, but they're just one card.
But the thing is, you can have all those cards out. So let's say you have all the cards out for beer, for guests, for this and that. None of it counts until you both roll dice, and then you draft it from your pile and their pile until you have, like, dice to use. If your dice don't match up to the cards, like, you're not using them. So you might have a bunch of really good cards out, but if you don't have the dice to match, it's not going to happen. So that's kind of the tricky thing. You could have, like, a ton of people, you know, that are going to have beer for you, but if you don't have a 6 or a 1 or whatever dice it is, you're screwed. Like, those cards got drawn, they're going to go in your discard. You didn't use them, essentially. So it's that, you know, you have to balance it between the cards you draw and then the dice, you're going to try to use them in the right way. Overall, the base game is super, I say simple, but it's like an easy going, you roll the dice, you match them. You know, it's kind of like a Yahtzee style in a way. Like, I'm matching a 6 to a 6 to use this. Like, it's pretty simple. But this game has 5, I think, modules, right? 4 or 5?
It's 5 modules that come in the box.
So you can, like, add them to the game or not. But the problem is we have played with them in the past. And this time I was like, yeah, I remember everything. I did not remember anything. So we were halfway through the game, and I was like, well, I haven't been doing that. And then something else would come up, and I'm like, well, that's not a thing. And Ben's like, yeah, it is a thing.
That can't be right.
Yeah. And I was like, no. I haven't done any of this. So we were halfway through, and I haven't done half of the rules. So
I didn't remember either. Okay, so I don't fault you for that at all.
Like, it's almost like having a bunch of mini expansions where all of a sudden you're like, hold on, this does what? This does what? This does... So...
Yeah. So what I did before we started was I read on the back of the rule book, it says frequently forgotten rules. And I said, Emily, would you like me to read this aloud? And she said, yes. And I read them word for word from the back of the rule book, and her eyes glazed over because apparently she wasn't listening for any of that, because every single mistake you made was one of the frequently forgotten rules.
If someone is like, listen to the rules, blah, 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 like, no, I'm not going to listen to that.
Is that how I talk?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, sorry.
And if those are the frequently forgotten rules, maybe they need to be rewritten so they're less frequently forgotten.
Right.
They're clearly not intuitive.
Or put them on like a little card or something.
Have it make more sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Get good.
It shouldn't be like I have to read 2 paragraphs every time.
Well, right. And it's because we play other deck builder games. Every deck builder game, when you buy a new card for your deck, where does it go?
Discard.
The discard. In this game, every new card you acquire goes at the top of your draw deck.
Never did that.
Whoa.
So then we're halfway through.
I don't hate that, but...
And I was like, I haven't gotten any of my new cards. And Ben's like, why not? They go on top of your...
You should have gotten them all.
You only get, that's...
And instead I'm going, I'm still on like my base, like one-time shuffled base shitty hand. Because all my good ones are in my discard. And it's like, well, that's not where they go. And I'm like, well, that would be a different game now, wouldn't it?
Where do new items go when you buy them in Lost Ruins of Arnak?
Discard.
On the bottom of your draw pile.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
see?
That's also fine.
But like another... Every time.
All right.
It's a different scenario.
Here's my question. I don't want to spend forever on Taverns of Tiefenthal.
No.
I really like this game.
Me too.
Why do you like it?
I like it because it's a pretty simple, you can chit-chat and talk, but there is some thinking to it. I can't think of words tonight. So there's more thinking than Yahtzee, but it's overall very simple. Like nights when I don't want to think too much, I like this game a lot.
Yeah, you're building probability into your deck, but you're never sure what you're going to draw. And especially because you start the game with bad guests. There are 1 and 2s. There's too many of them, and they clog up your deck.
It's those like hobos.
And it makes it difficult to get the better ones. But the other thing is, multiples of any number aren't that great unless you roll the dice and then 4 fours came up or something like that. But I think I talked about it already. The way the systems interact in that points come from guests. You get nobles by upgrading your thing, or you get points from the guests you bring in. but guests bring money, and you need workers to get the beer. So it's like this. It's this interaction that's really
It's
good.
in like in engine building, deck building,
Yeah, it's
but
classic
overall,
stuff.
I think it's the base game is very simple. If you want to add on the modules, you can, but you also don't have to. Or you can add on one or two, which I do like that. I like that it's not a full expansion or not. You can be like, I just want this part. I just want this. But the base game alone, I think, is really fun. I like it with the other stuff too. I just forgot everything. But the base game itself, I think, is fun. I think it plays great at 2 players, which is, it's always hard to find a good 2-player, but a 2-player kind of casual but medium weight, I think it's a fantastic for that.
I would agree.
Nice.
Hey, here's our
Yeah, there
it's
you
time
go.
for a break.
All right, we will be right back. All right, and we're back. So what we want to know now is what's been cooking in Ken's kitchen.
I played poker like a real person. Like
Whoa,
I'm not.
a real man.
No, well, no, let's not. I don't
Get
care
too
for that.
crazy.
Yeah. No, we have a really cool street that I live on. I have a house on that street, if you can imagine. And there's a lot of older guys on my street, and there's some younger guys now. But the older guys that had poker night, I don't know for how long, and then they canceled it for basically 2 years due to COVID.
For COVID, yeah.
And then they decided to pop off last Saturday, so 4 or 5 days ago.
You know how
I think
it gets.
yeah, you know how it
I
is when the
do.
boys get together. And I'll tell you what, though, my boy Randy had a chest freezer just packed to the gills with brewskis. You would
Oof.
never.
Really?
Oh yeah, Randy's cool in my book. But we had about 10 people, so we had to split. We
Whoa,
actually had
that's a
2
lot.
different tables. Yeah, the old
Oh,
farts
okay.
went and played. So they have all their crazy rules because they've played together for years and years and stuff like, oh, this
Okay.
card's a wild, and yeah,
feel
but
like
kings are
that's-
jacks and jacks are twos and twos don't count and twos are also aces.
Whoa.
Right.
Whoa.
If it's a blood moon, a 2 is a 3. And then I kind of got sat at the kids' table, which is fine by me, with some of the younger guys who live on our street now. And we played a whole bunch. We didn't play a single game more than maybe two in a row. So we played Hold'em. We played, I think it's called 5-card draw,
Yeah.
like classic poker.
Classic, yeah.
And then we played a silly version of basically just Bluff City, where everybody tosses in, someone makes a bet. You each get 3 cards. You hold them face down, and you say 1, 2, 3, drop. If you're not going to continue to play, you drop your cards and you're out. Then the players who are still in reveal their 3 cards. You're going for classic poker.
Is
High
there still
card.
like a river?
No, none of that.
Oh,
Because
okay.
you don't ever get new cards. You only have the
Oh,
3.
okay.
So you're either going to win with a high card or a pair or maybe a triple. That
Oh,
would be
crazy.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But the dynamic is, and the reason the game keeps going is because, so let's say you got 5 people, 1 person drops out, and there's 4 left. 4 people show their hands. 1 person wins, they collect the pot. The 3 people that are left each have to put in the pot amount as their bet for the next one. So the pot triples from what it was
Whoa.
immediately. And then you get 3 more cards and you do it again.
Whoa,
If
that's
everybody
wild.
backs out and 1 person wins, then they have to play the dealer, and that's how the game ends, basically.
Or that's how like it resets.
Yes.
Because it's ramping out of control there, right?
Yes. It ramps. That's the whole point, right? Is to, yeah. It's cool. It's fun. It's just a fun, like, okay, well, what do I have? I'm going to bet. I could lose a lot here, sure, but the
Did you
next
guys
pot's
play
going to be massive.
with real money?
Yeah, it was, I mean,
Like $5
nickel,
or $10
quarter,
or whatever?
nickel, dime,
Okay.
quarter, 50 cent, I think we were using.
I always find that
$10
fun.
buy-in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you using actual coins or were they using poker
No,
chips
somebody
to
brought
represent
really
them?
nice chips. Yeah.
Ben needs to know.
So it was
Man, I
fun.
used to
I
have
just-
good poker chips.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
And I just have the way you have.
But like I was just saying a little bit ago during the break, that sounds fun. That you
But-
guys were switching up the
Oh.
rules.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I've it's been a long time, but I have had Texas Hold'em poker nights in the
Have
past.
you?
I think I
And-
played Hold'em in high school. That was
Yeah,
the last
the
time.
last
like,
time I played was high school. We played a shit
2005.
ton in high school and
Yeah,
college.
it was
though.
huge
Yeah.
then. It was huge.
Like
It was
that's
all over
how
TV.
we would get our money to go out to eat at midnight that
Wow.
night. Like that was essentially it was a $10 or $20 buy-in. And
Wow.
you would win a shit ton and be like, let's head to Perkins, bitches. Like it was nothing
About
fancy.
to pop off.
Yeah.
But that's why we would constantly do that.
See, but I could see how because like Hold'em is a game, right? I mean, it's televised and stuff. There's so much to it about like this is what's in the river and these are the cards you have. So
Right.
this is the probability that you could win. You're constantly playing all these games, and those people who are pros they know all the probabilities, and then they're good like bluffers, right? So
Right.
when you play with friends, it's fun to play a more complex game. If you're playing with like, hey, it's my first night at poker night, guys. The fact that you guys kept playing, let's play this game, and this game, and
Yeah,
one
it
of
was
them is
really
like,
cool.
it's a 3-card draw, like
Yeah, that's fun.
exponential pot
Yeah.
thing. That sounds like a really fun way to like get introduced to poker night.
Just play a little bit. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. And we did. I mean, we played classic. I'm trying to think, and they were all really great about it. I mean, I had to go watch I watched a YouTube video the day before of like, how many hands are there? Like news
Yeah.
to me, there's only 10 hands. I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
had no clue. And the top 3 you're basically never gonna get.
Oh yeah, you're not getting like
know,
a
so-
like that's not
A royal flush.
or a straight
Flush
flush. Like you're
royale.
not getting half
Yeah,
of
what is
those.
it? Top
so.
3 royal flush you're never gonna get. What are they over here? I got them.
Straight flush.
Straight flush and then 4 of a kind. Those are the top 3 in
Yeah.
descending order. Yeah.
So 4 of a kind beats a straight, right?
Yeah. Would you
look
like
at
me
him.
to-
And a flush. A 4 of a kind beats a straight and a flush, right?
Yeah.
believe
And
so.
a full house.
Like I said, I haven't
And a
played in
full
forever.
house, yeah.
Ooh, if you get a full house, so that is, man, that's
pretty
always
good.
nice.
What's when you have 3 of a kind and then a pair and then just
the
a
full
high card?
house. That's 6
Yeah.
cards.
No. I just meant
You
like
mean for
I was
beating
counting
what's-
down the
yeah.
the hands. I was trying to count 10.
Here, let's go up. Lowest
But then you
is high
occasionally
card.
have the ace.
Pair.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 pair. 3 of a kind.
3 of a
Straight.
kind beats 2 pair. Okay. Straight. Okay.
Although I think those guys were playing 2 pair beats a 3 of a kind, which I
That
don't
doesn't
know
make
if
any
that's
sense.
accurate. Straight,
doesn't seem
which
right.
is 5 cards in order.
Yep.
Flush, which is 5 of the same suit. Full
Mhm.
house, which is a pair and a 3 of a kind.
And a 3.
4 of a kind. Straight flush, which is 5 cards in order
And
of
the same suit.
which is
And royal
impossible. And then you have a royal
bitches.
flush, which is 10 through ace, same suit.
Which
Not
is
gonna
like
happen.
the chance of you getting that.
Go
So-
buy a lotto ticket.
I
Yeah.
hate to say it. Before you read that off, I don't know if I could have answered the question, does a full house beat
I
a
didn't
flush?
know. I have no idea.
It does, according to what
It
you
does.
just told me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that. It's
I
been
didn't know.
a
What's it go?
long
Straight
time.
flush, full house, I think, right?
That's
That
what
would
you
be
just
the
said.
thing I
Yep.
would have to look up. If someone's like, we're playing, I'd be like, I need to remember. I don't. It's been a long time. I
Yeah.
used to know, but
But it was cool.
not
So, you know,
anymore.
even poker night with the granddads and the vets, you know, you can mix
Yeah,
up.
what ages we talking about here? Like, what's he-
Myself and 2 other dudes on the street are 34, all, you know, tripling,
Whoa.
triplets.
Triplets. Yeah, do you guys
Born the
this is
math?
same week.
This is the buddy. This is the guy who lives across from me, and his friend's name is Ben Conrad.
Whoa!
I said-
Wow.
Get lost. I don't want
Really?
anything to do with it. Yeah. So and then
Bizarro me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the rest of them are probably 50, 60, but they were good
Okay.
sports, and we were playing, and you know, even it's always reassuring to hear a 65-year-old guy What's wild again? What's wild? Right?
That's
Because I'm
good.
like, I'll play cards and it's like I'm not paying attention. I don't care. What's wild?
So do you
I
play
don't
with
know.
Ben Conrad?
No, he wasn't there. He's
Oh man.
yeah.
But
Plus, I
I
never
need to
could.
meet Ben
Right?
Conrad.
that was like in college, Emily Alwyn. She lived
That's
a couple
bizarre.
What?
doors
That's an
down
elf
from me.
name.
Alwyn.
Alwyn. Yeah.
Alwen, and my last name was
Wow.
Allen. It was Emily and Lauren, but it was Emily Alwyn and Lauren in one room, dorm room, a couple doors down from Lauren and me, Emily Allen. And I was like, well, hold on. What's going on? I thought it was like a joke
Whoa.
at first. So
Yeah.
Well, I haven't heard you
Gotcha.
call yourself Emily Allen in a
Also,
long
I
I
have-
forgot that was your last name. I'm not gonna lie.
even now I'm like, Allen, is that correct?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It has been, so.
Well, Emily, why don't you share with us some of Instagram listener questions?
Ooh, here we go.
What questions
Stay
do we
down.
have this week?
Okay, from Board Gaming Madigan. He says, have you found a red wine to add to your rotation? Which I should have grabbed the red wine tonight. I
Have you?
didn't. The only one I've really liked
Just
so
mix it with your
far.
Coke.
Does that work?
I'll have a red wine and Coke, please. Oh
Put a little
man.
lime in it.
Coke
I wonder
Zero,
what
please.
Yeah.
The 19 Crimes, the Snoop Dogg one, the Cali Red Blend, is actually really good.
Really?
And it was only, it's $10.99.
Nice.
You
Really?
had it. It was really good.
Yeah, it was good.
Also, I saw that there's now going to be a Martha Stewart with his line of wines, a Martha Chardonnay. And it's like her like mugshot on it, which I'm like, man, I need to try this now. I just really enjoy that. But then I also tried the, it's like always famous people, which then I feel weird. The Cameron Diaz wine, which is Avaline Wines,
What?
is really good. But it's also really good because it's like 0 gram sugar, like which
Nice.
is really nice because most wines are so
Yeah.
sweet. So those are really good. I haven't tried the red wine in that, but I want to. But the Snoop Dogg one, I'd recommend. That's really good.
My experience with all the low sugar wines that you've been trying lately is you're hunting for something that is passable most of the time, or that
Yeah.
even
No,
could be
but the-
considered like drinkable,
The Avaline ones are not passable. They're like good.
like legitimately you like them.
Like if someone didn't tell me it was 0 sugar, I would still like it.
Because all the other ones I've tried from well, you certainly could have a glass of it, right? If nobody needs to come and tell me this is 0 sugar. Like immediately you're like, something's up with this.
I think I like those though because they're like very simple, which I like for those. And then I had one that was like a regular wine the other day, and I was like, "Whew, this is a sweet one." Like, but it was just a normal.
Really?
So I don't know. It definitely depends, but I do the Avaline ones. I do really like.
Nice.
Those are good low sugar ones. Okay, and then emotional sideboard said, "Is it important to you guys to introduce non-gamer friends to games? If so, how?" Ben?
Good question.
Do you do this at all, Ken? Like people come over, are you like, hey guys, do you want to play Ticket to Ride? Do you do that?
Sure, I will try it, but it's 100% on them.
Yeah.
Right? They pick. They say yes or no. It's not here's what we're doing. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just don't want to get trapped in a game, and I don't want other people to feel trapped in a game.
Ben, you're good at trapping people into games.
Well, I've gotten better at that over the years. Do I find it to be important to introduce non-gamer friends to games?
I don't think it is, though.
I do like to play a game, especially with people who are like, wow, I've never heard of any of this. To at least play one time with them, because while it has never happened, it did happen to me, right? Me personally,
Gotcha.
right? Like I went and played one of these games and I was hooked, and I'm always like wondering, if we play a
Right.
game, will somebody else get hooked? And so for me, those have to be like very easy games, right? So Project L,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ticket to Ride,
Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
Sushi Go.
Yes, I think the number one thing is like know your audience. Do not get out
Yes.
some insane game and you're
Yeah.
like, do you guys want to learn a game? And it's like, well, now they're really not going to want to learn a game. They don't
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it's funny. You mentioned Ticket to Ride and Sushi Go, and I don't know, but for some reason it flashed into my head. My mother could not grasp the concept of Sushi Go, but Ticket to Ride, because it had a board,
yeah.
right? And we could see the outline of the game, like, no problem.
Yeah.
Let's
Mhm.
play.
Ticket to Ride
This
is
game's
great.
easy. Is there a harder version of this? Whereas Sushi Go, where you're just passing cards, I don't know, maybe that's an old person thing. So you just got to go
Right.
with what people are willing to play. I mean, that's pretty universal.
I
Right.
agree, though. I think we got Ticket to Ride out when my dad and stepmom were visiting one time. And then after they're like, no, then we bought it. And then at Christmas, we
No
played
way.
with Deborah's parent. Like it was where then
Awesome.
now they're like
Ticket to
everyone they
Ride
hang
is
out
like,
with.
oh my gosh,
It's so good.
perfect.
It's such
Yeah.
an easy
Perfect.
but good game. And there's so many different types. Like there's the Europe and this and that. So if you do want to do it a little bit harder, it's like you can get whatever version. And so I think that's a great game to introduce.
Yep.
But I think the number one thing is do not try to introduce something insane to someone. They're going to be so overwhelmed, they're not going to want to do anything.
You would really be rolling the dice to pull out a heavy game with somebody who doesn't play games to be like,
Oh, yeah.
I hope you like this. And like I
Yeah,
had done that
geez.
early on, right? Like,
Yeah.
again, it would work on some people. Like, before I ever played board games, if somebody pulled out something insane and said, let's play this, I would have been like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. But that is the exception, right? That is the
Right.
1%
I feel like
of the
it's
time.
a rare, yeah.
And I've certainly changed over the years to, instead of like trying to show other people how cool this hobby is, my mindset is more of this is my hobby. And if anybody asks questions about it, then I would certainly share, and if we
Right.
don't have anything, let's say some people are over and we don't have anything to do, I would go, hey, do you guys want to play a game? And we'll like what we just said, right? Oh, there's this cool game here where we're just going to pass cards around, or we're going to play Ticket to Ride. I would love for somebody to be like, hey, let's play one of these games. But it's the major thing, like I said, the major mindset change was not that I need to show everybody how cool games are, but that gaming is my hobby, not theirs. Mine.
Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
I'll tell you about my hobbies if you're curious, but
Well, yeah.
that's the thing I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think we
Cool.
played with like Mark and Leah too. We did Sushi Go and like monikers, but then they're like, we got
Yeah.
Sushi Go, and then over Christmas played with like Mark's family or like whatever, or Sushi Go party or whatever it was.
Yep.
But then you're always like, okay, good, I picked out a good game. Like that worked out really nice.
Mhm.
But you don't want them to be like, now I hate board games because you like scared me into playing a
Well,
really intense
if
one.
they want intense stuff, if they want more, they'll tell you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People generally won't tell you if this is too much.
Yeah.
So you gotta start below what you think
Right.
entry level is, sort
I
of.
totally agree with that.
Right? They'll let you know if they're interested.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
won't tell you if they're not interested.
That's
Right.
They'll
very
just
true.
stop coming over.
They'll
They're-
just kind of be awkward, yeah, throughout it, and then
And they're always going to be not interested. That's just how it goes.
Right,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah. And not
Yeah.
everybody has to like board games or whatever, video games, whatever it may be.
yeah, whatever the
Yeah.
hobby is.
Yeah.
But there's like you can just take some joy in like I love this thing and it's my thing and it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
your thing, but it is mine and I like it a lot.
Yeah, I
Keep
don't
your
think.
little secret.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one from Nico4474, if I'm saying that right, said favorite and least favorite game mechanic.
I would say delayed boss attacks that cause me to roll right into their attack,
Yeah.
Oh, very
right.
specific.
right?
Yeah.
And also
Bosses who cause rot and bleed. No.
poison specifically I hate.
Poison and clean rot. What's it called?
Gosh, I hate the rot.
I'm gonna say it took a long time to grow on me because I think I didn't understand what it was. Deck building, I really was resistant to
Oh, okay.
initially, and then I really like it now. I'm a deck building boy. That's
An
my
island
thing
boy?
now. Yeah.
I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know.
think of
Least
what-
favorite? I haven't. I don't know.
I think I
Things
I
like-
mentioned earlier, like adventure games. I'm like, what is the point?
Mm,
So that's my least favorite. Is just, I mean, we have what's that game up there? It's like an unlock, but it's an adventure game,
I think
I
it's
think-
called Adventure Game Series.
right? You're trying to like get out of a dungeon, but really it's
Ah.
like you have A, B, C, or D. Well, if you do D, it's like didn't work. C is like kind of worked. B is
Huh.
like look for A, and you're like, so there's one answer. Like, then what am I
Right.
doing
That's
if I
no
can't
good.
choose my own?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care then. That kind of stuff I really don't care about. But
Scarlet Rot. That's the name of it. Scarlet Rot.
Right.
oh,
I'm telling
Sorry.
you, or I fought this one boss,
I'm
and
telling
he
you.
would punish you for going behind him. He had a back attack, so if you rolled around him on his attacks, you did not want to be back there because he would do this like, and he would like
Gotcha.
get you for going back there.
back
That guy sucked.
You know what I saw today? Should I say it?
Say it.
Possible spoiler for Elden Ring.
Okay.
There was a dungeon boss who, it's this big spirit. He's not the enemy. It's a summon of an invisible boss
Whoa!
inside the cave with you.
I have not fought
Oh,
that.
shit.
No. And I'm not
What?
going to tell you the name because the name
don't
is a
say.
spoiler.
How did you figure it out?
I was watching Dr. Disrespect. Don't watch his stuff. It's super spoilery.
What?
Oh, really?
Super spoilery. Yeah.
All right, I
Yeah.
won't watch it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite or?
Favorite and least favorite game
Least?
mechanics? I'm with Ken. I love deck building. I absolutely love deck building. I feel like I'm working on a project the whole game. And every time it's my turn, I'm so excited to see what am I going to draw. And then when
Yeah.
I draw stuff, what cards, new cards, do I get to put in my
Sure.
deck?
I like deck
I
building.
love deck building. And then every time
Wow.
you're like, every time you run out of cards, you get to shuffle that discard pile back in. And you're like,
That is nice
dang,
when
here
you're
we
like,
go.
maybe.
Now I get all that
maybe.
new stuff.
Yeah.
I get all that. It's going to be
Reloaded.
cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
What was that movie with the bug, the Volkswagen bug, Herbie Reloaded,
Yeah.
starring Lindsay Lohan?
Oh my gosh.
When did that come out? That's how I feel
Like
when I shuffle my deck.
2003.
Like Herbie
don't know.
Reloaded.
Yeah. What was that? What
I
was
don't
that?
know if I ever saw that.
I never saw it either. I just remember
I
that.
was like, I don't. That had to be
was-
like 2003 or something, right?
2005.
Ah, so close.
That's
Herbie
probably my
Fully
favorite.
loaded. Herbie
Oh,
fully
Herbie
loaded.
Fully loaded.
Was the car
yeah.
like alive? Should that be
sure,
a
it
D-list
was.
movie?
Sure, why not? I don't.
Right?
Oh man, I wonder if that's
Ooh.
even watchable.
It's probably a good time.
Good
It's
I'm
grief.
gonna
probably
write
loads of
that
fun.
down really quick.
Least favorite game mechanic. Ooh, I don't know.
That's tough
what
because
don't I like? I'm not
because
that
a good
picky.
game can save bad mechanics, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
But also
Uh,
bad mechanics can ruin good games.
I,
So
I
I
just
don't
don't.
know.
I don't look at things that critically. You know.
You're not
Right.
like this has this
I'm-
in it.
I'm not-
Well, it's more
out.
it's more holistic, right? Is the game good or bad in how it uses these mechanics?
I definitely agree with that. Oh,
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Right.
I
Does this game leverage this mechanic well?
Yeah,
Right.
because there's plenty of times. Like I also
Right.
the other thing I don't really like is dice rolling usually, but it. George is like climbing up my chair, but
I've got an answer. I just thought of one.
it.
But go ahead.
He's like going insane.
Yeah, let him.
It depends
I wanna
on
see.
how
Zoom.
how
Zoom.
you use the dice rolling. Sometimes when it's like the only way to do something, I don't
Yeah.
like it because I have no control, and it's kind of
Right.
like, well, this sucks because it's all
It's
random.
just luck. Yeah.
Like taverns, though, for example, it's luck, but then you can use them in a certain way, or it's not like
Mm.
just me rolling dice, and it's like, well, screw you. So
Well, that's the thing, right? You could say I hate dice rolling, but the Castles of Burgundy has dice rolling in it. but it's used in a completely different way.
Yeah, that's totally different than, I don't know. There's some games,
Dice
though, that I'm
rolling
like,
is
this
such
is
a
not going to
weird
be
one,
fun.
though, because sometimes dice rolling is random and sometimes dice rolling is very tuned in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was going to say about Gloomhaven and its enemy AI, right?
Oh.
That's your least favorite?
Well, when used
I can see
poorly,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
When
that's
I
just
think
the
that's a
is-
good one.
Yeah, when Dumbo is trying to like walk to the door, but there's like a
Yeah.
rock in the way, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Well, it's the interesting thing about that is like, the AI is kind of complex in that game, but explicit, right? Like it acts this way all the time
Yeah.
without exception.
I suppose that's to your
Yeah,
advantage,
but-
right?
And you're
You
supposed
know
to,
how
yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You're supposed to manipulate that. I know how the AI works, and I'm going to take advantage of it and
Which
force it to do
feels
stupid
like
things.
you're playing like a meta, and I don't care for that. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing
Yeah.
about the game, It's just like your Wordle openers.
Yeah.
They gotta
Yeah.
be meta.
Yeah. You guys want to know my Wordle openers?
Yeah, tell me.
Anybody
what
want to
is it?
know?
Yeah.
It's
what
kind
is
of
it?
lewd. We okay with
That's
that?
okay. Go for it.
All right. First word ultra. Second word penis. You're gonna nail pretty much every vowel you could ever want, and high value consonants. That's your
There you go.
starter.
Wow. Okay.
Those are good starters.
You're gonna
Ultra
get
penis.
You're gonna get threes all the time with ultra penis. Excuse me.
Really? Threes all the time. Ultra penis.
Yeah.
Now
show-
you know the word.
I'll
Get
show you
out of
my-
here.
I'll show you my record here.
I don't
pull
want
it
to
up.
know it.
I couldn't
I quit
actually
playing.
solve
I'm so bad
today's.
at this game.
I couldn't solve today's. You know why? Didn't use ultra penis. Started with train. I don't know.
What were you thinking, train? Useless.
I don't know.
Yeah, come
Felt
on.
good about it. Felt good.
I like how there's sort of a meme of like Wordle, that Wordle picture that you put in, like that you share, and everybody was like getting nuts with Wordle and sharing it everywhere, and like it started as a joke in our group chat, and our group chat legitimately has become everybody shares their Wordle scores of the day, like really actually
that's it.
shares them.
That's it. That's
I
all
feel
there
like
is.
that's just you gain older. As you get
Yeah,
older,
Probably.
Yeah.
But that's all for the Instagram questions.
Questions.
I like those.
All right. Well, now let's move on to some things we've been watching.
Watching. Ken, have you been watching anything?
I don't think so. I'm way behind on my X-Files. I have
Oh,
the
man.
last episode of season 1 to watch.
Ooh. Getting closer.
I'm not expecting anything big, but I am excited to start on season 2 because I'm guessing they're going to come back with like, well, they got more money, right?
Yeah,
they have more
right.
time. They have all these things to sort of, and in modern shows, I feel like that usually hurts the show sometimes because they're like,
Oh.
well, just get nuts with it. Just go
Yeah.
off the rails.
You're like, well, this isn't what I was hoping.
Right.
How many
We're-
seasons are there?
I think there's 10 or 11
Wow.
before they
Okay.
started doing like the special
Like weird.
stuff.
I don't remember. I'm so curious. I bet that the earlier seasons are the ones I remember.
Yeah, I think
And
so
then
too.
after like 5, I was probably like, I don't understand what's going on anymore. But
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
And I also knew not to walk in the room because it's too spooky. I'm still waiting for the episode where there's a gray looking through a windowsill. That's the one
Oh,
memory I
man.
have that I
That is
haven't.
true. I have a few memories where I feel like if those came up, all of a sudden I'd be like, this is my nightmare from when I was 8 years old or whatever.
A
Yeah.
gray.
Yeah, classic
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Yeah.
no, I haven't watched anything.
Well, I finally convinced Ben to start a show with me.
Yes.
Ben, do you want to talk about it? We started last night.
Oh man, you're talking about Our Flag Means Death on HBO.
I need to see this. This looks great. I like the main actor. I like everybody involved. Fred Armisen.
I would
Taika
I would
Waititi?
describe this as it's the same feeling as The Office, but in like, well, they don't look directly at the camera, but that silliness of a boss, but in pirates. right?
Good.
Like somewhat. I mean, just like a little bit of a vibe going on.
It's like a skit.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's
not
like comedians that dressed up as pirates and they have a goofy story going on.
It's not a, like lately I feel like TV has really become,
Intense.
like 10-hour movies.
Yes.
And
I like
this
that
yes.
too.
this is like a 30-minute skit. And it's just so goofy. At times you're like this, at first when it starts you're like, this is a little bit too.
It's
Like-
silly and stupid.
Yeah.
And
It's
irreverent,
dumb.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just what you need these
and
days.
then they'll do like one a joke that lands, and you're like, this is so funny. Like, this is just so goofy. I love the Emily I don't know where you pulled this from, but
Yeah.
Steedy Bonnet, a pampered aristocrat, experiences a midlife crisis and decides to become a pirate.
Yeah, that's what it's about. So he's
That's really
obviously
good.
not made for the pirate life. You find that out
Right.
instantly. But he's the captain, and it's just goofy and funny, and it's really nice when the world is literally burning down if you watch the news.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be like, I would like to just escape to this for a second.
It is dumb. Like, it's just like,
Oh yeah,
It's
it
not-
reminds me of like something that would be on Comedy Central back in the day, like in the '90s or 2000s
Oh,
kind
wow.
of thing. It's
That's high
like goofy, just
It's-
goofy and silly.
like,
But like you said, every now and then you're like, I don't know, this is kind of like weird, and then they say something that's really funny, and you're like, okay, I'm good with this.
it's like right. I don't
I
want to
love
like
the main guy. I think his name is Reese Darby or something.
I
and
don't.
he
Yeah.
I didn't write down, but he's really good.
Like,
It's just funny.
There's this one scene where he's like caught. They get captured, and they're in like the tiniest cage. Him and this one other guy. Like, it's like laughably tiny. And then the other guy comes up, and he's like got a drink, and the like the captors are like, hey man, how's it going? He's like, oh no, the way he says it would be exactly if you were like at a party and somebody handed you a drink, you're like, no, I'm doing all right, thanks. Like, it's like the way it's delivered.
It's a very casual, like, that's what's so good though. It's like they got like legit really good comedians, and you were just like, no, you can play with the scene a little bit. So I think it's fun and great. Don't
Sign me
expect it
up.
to be like the world's
no.
best. It's like a goofy,
Yeah.
almost like random, like it's
It's
just
Well,
so
this is-
right. Yeah. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
This
Ken.
is who did what it was, the Dracula show. What was it called? The vampire show, where it was like a reality show about vampires and there were werewolves. What was it called?
I
I've
don't
never heard
know.
of this. This sounds
Oh,
good.
it's
yeah,
though.
I need to
fantastic.
get this one too.
It's Taika Waititi. It's the same guy, Reese Darby. It's a whole
man.
bunch of Australians and New Zealanders where, Reese Darby is the leader. The main character of this show, Our Flag Means Death, is the leader
What
of the
We Do in the
werewolves.
Shadows?
Yes. It was a
Okay.
show. It was a movie. I think there was a spin-off about the werewolves where it's this main guy who's like, hey, we don't have to be animals if we're werewolves, except they literally are animals
animals.
occasionally. And like they have to
Yes.
deal with it once a month. And
It's
like,
totally this vibe of what I've just
Yeah.
even seen from pictures. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I've seen like
It's
memes
always-
of this show.
it's
so.
always like literal monsters trying to be like nice people. And then, oh,
Yeah.
no, I have to go kill a person to survive. So, yeah.
It's
good stuff.
If you want something easy, lighthearted, easy to watch, check it out. It's on HBO Max.
I'll watch it.
If you're
I'll get it.
you're looking
I think,
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy who whispers, hey, how's it going? Anyway,
So also on HBO Max, I watched it's like a limited series thing, 6 episodes, The Tourist. Where a guy wakes up, he like gets in a car crash, he wakes up with zero memory, and he's trying to figure out like who he is at the same
Uh-oh.
time when like people are trying to get him and blah blah blah. I don't know, I liked it. It's like a fun little mini mystery show thing. Try to figure
haven't
everything
heard
out, but
of
it's
it.
only 6 episodes,
I like
have you
that.
finished it?
which I like. Yeah, I finished it. It's only
I'm
6
all about
episodes.
that. I'm all about that finite
Yeah.
show anything, do
It's
that.
it's like a long movie, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a little more detail,
Yeah.
but I also know it's gonna be done. Like it's not gonna be like season 2 and you're like, what? And then it stops. It's
Right.
just
Yep.
yeah, it's good though.
Cool.
And then also, because I just me, I watched in the past Outlander, which is on
Yeah.
Stars. So season 6 started. So I had to get into that. I heard Megan started
She,
Outlander.
Did she start it? She
Well,
asked
no,
about
she
it.
did.
And then,
She was telling me that she was going to try because she was like,
From the
"There's a bunch
beginning?
of seasons that she can watch." That's a good one, but it's not child friendly. You don't want children around for that one. There's
No?
lots. It's
Oh, man.
essentially like a porno half the time. It's just sex
Whoa.
scenes. So
Holy smokes.
if someone walks in the room, it could be this. What am I watching? Scenario
Yeah.
sometimes. But that one is from the beginning. An English nurse from 1945, like mysteriously goes back in time, and it's 1743, and then it's
Wow.
like her doing that.
Do they ever talk about the time travel, or is that just a device to?
No, they like talk about it and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But
Is it like magic
I
or
mean,
science fiction?
I feel like that's the same thing almost.
Science
Like,
fiction,
what-
I mean, would be that somebody built a time
A
machine.
device.
Magic would
No,
say
it's more
that-
like magic.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Like she doesn't really know,
Any
but she
relation-
kind of understands.
Huh.
Like
Any
why or
relation
how.
to what are those movies with Sean Connery where he has a sword and it ends in Ander? I think they're called Outlander, aren't they?
They might be,
Highlander?
but this is
Highlander. Any relation? No, just wishful thinking on
There
that.
can
No.
only be one.
Yeah.
Isn't that where when they kill each other, they get their power or something like
Or
that?
something?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't know.
Like the one with Jet Li. You know what I'm talking about? And then it ends up
Oh,
where
yeah.
there's the one of the Jet Lis is killing all the other Jet Lis, and then the other guy who's still alive is like, why am I getting stronger? Because he's getting
All the
stronger because all the
powers.
other Jet Lis are dying,
Whoa.
No, I don't know. Outlander's good.
and they have to
Didn't
face
know.
off.
It's exciting.
The
it's on
murderous
Stars.
Jet Li.
Are you gonna? And then we did watch a movie.
I want to see
Ooh.
this. Tell
You
me
don't.
about this. What?
I thought, well, right, like it was perfect. We've been playing Elden Ring, and this
yeah,
is
this
sort
is
of like
I'm tuned. I'm ready for this.
this looks right like an eldritch Knights of the Round Table story. I thought this was.
fantasy horror.
He's
So-
got a big
like-
axe.
This is much more a retelling of a medieval story and like poems from
Yep.
that time, which means it's like a wackadoodle story. It is
Right.
not an action. It's not adventure. It is much more like if you made the Lighthouse more art housey, and then broke it up into a couple stories to make one story, and then at the end you're like,
What?
"What the? Yep, that's what we're
Huh.
like at the end."
Huh.
This movie was
It's-
very disappointing.
It's also just not what I
Really?
expected. A lot of the
Oh,
reviews are
man.
like, "It's fantastic and beautiful," because it is very
Is it,
symbolic and like represents this and that, and but
But
it's.
the-
I just wanted to watch like a story, not
Right.
Right, I
have
wanted
to
to
break
watch.
it apart.
I wanted to watch a fantasy retelling of the medieval story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. This is what I wanted to see. Him go on an adventure,
Well,
and it was
I consider myself an Arthurian scholar
mhm.
from the ages of 6 to 7. I was very into King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. That was my jam.
But-
and Gawain was the Green Knight at some point because he defeated something, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is it." And the visuals are cool. I think is it Benicio del Toro? Or not? No.
I don't remember who.
What is that guy's
directed
name?
it.
He does super crazy, weird.
I can picture him, but I don't
monsters.
know his name. The
It looks
visuals
like
of
that.
it were cool. Like the
Yeah.
visuals were great. But it's not like an action or adventure film. It's more of a like Wes Anderson meets like
What?
it's just a totally different style of being like everything is going to be the symbolic representation of this, and this might mean this, and then we're going to break it up into like 5 parts, and it's just
Huh.
not what I expected.
It was very film class,
yeah.
Okay.
and it was not very fun.
But not Lighthouse film class.
Well, no, because Lighthouse, I feel like was
like-
more coherent, more of a story, and and there was stuff like fun stuff to talk about afterwards about like how kind of crazy it got and how crazy the
I mean,
characters
this
got
definitely had
in it.
some of that, but
This has like the whole time you're just like waiting for something to happen, the hammer to
Yeah.
drop, for like some action scene finally or something to, and it just never
Set things
comes.
in motion, just never happens, huh? Wow.
He just continually. First of all, the main character is
also
a
he's
screw
kind
up,
of a douche.
and
yeah.
if this is a medieval retelling of the tests
It
of
probably
the
is
valor of a
like
knight,
that, though.
right? And each test is supposed to be a different attribute of what makes a good knight.
Sure.
I felt like he failed every
All of them?
one of the tests.
He was definitely like F up.
Maybe that's the point.
And I won't ruin it and say at the end whether he fails or not. But I felt like leading up to the end, I feel like every test that was presented, he fails.
But I mean, the main thing is
Huh.
like, I just didn't expect it either. If you wanted to watch something like that, it was done well. The visuals were great,
It was
Okay.
cool.
but
Well,
it's
that's good.
not what
I just had the
I
wrong
just didn't want
expectations.
to have to like. I didn't want to analyze a film. I just want to watch a film and be
Right,
like, cool.
right.
And instead, at the end, I was like, well, what was that? Like, it was
Yeah.
just not.
Well,
what
because
I-
like when we did the Lighthouse, Ben was like, "Oh, did you think the Lighthouse was like what did the Lighthouse mean?" I was like, "I don't know. I thought that movie was cool.
Yeah, you could definitely watch The Lighthouse like
you can
that.
just
Like,
watch that movie.
it's just a
Yeah.
crazy like trip into madness, right?
yeah. This is
And
just
I feel like this
insanity.
goes
I-
off
I don't
the
think
cliff
there's-
a little further.
I don't think there's any way to
Okay.
watch this for surface level. I don't
Okay.
think there's any surface
Wow.
level to this. It's all depth.
Yeah,
all,
for the most part.
It's all school.
It's turtles
Huh.
all the way down.
Yeah.
So it's just not what I expected. And then I was like so mad because I just really wanted to watch like some random action or whatever adventure
Huh.
film. And instead I was like, oh my gosh.
I remember seeing the trailer for this and
Oh, the
thinking,
trailer is
it
like,
looks so cool.
yep.
It
I
just
watched the
looks
trailer too,
so-
and I was like, this should be really good. And,
And
then we
even if
watched
it-
it, and I was like, that was not the trailer.
Even if it did get deep, and even if it did sort of like reach an anticlimactic ending, I was on board for that because it looked just like an adventure that was sort of realistic, even though it's
Yeah.
hyper fantasy. But
I feel like
I mean-
everything in the trailer was like the really cool visuals, and then the
Right.
rest of it is super slow to the point where you're like, what are we doing? Because it's like,
Yeah.
well, the blah blah in this scene is meaning and you're just like, oh my god.
good.
It makes me
Yeah.
want to go completely the opposite direction and watch that King Arthur movie that came out a few years ago. Does him with the
With
blonde guy?
Clive Owen,
Yeah,
Clive
what's
Owen?
that called?
King
I don't know.
Arthur, I
Isn't
think.
it just
think-
called King Arthur?
Yeah.
Oh no,
we should
you're
watch
talking
that.
of you're thinking of
There's like so many King Arthur.
God, what is
movies,
that
I feel
movie?
like.
Yeah, it looked really bad.
It had Jude Law in it, didn't it?
Yes, and like the sword like bats people out of the sky and shit. Like
Dang, what? I'll have to look it up.
I looked
Yeah.
that up.
I'll look it up
Sounds
here
like
while
a
we
great
chit
deal
chat.
list, though.
right, like
Yeah, I think it. I
what
think
is
it
the
would
name
be.
of the sword? Excalibur gets pulled gets pulled out of the stone by a little bad boy who shouldn't wield it.
Yeah.
Like sexy bad, like that's what it is though. Like,
Yes.
what if we made
I just
King
thought this
Arthur
would be like that, but done not.
much better?
Yeah,
right? Like
and-
tighter, controlled, looks
And
better.
like I
makes
said,
sense.
if you love that, like I really want to. It's almost like a folk horror poem that someone
Right,
like.
right.
Then it's fine. I just was not expecting that, and I was like, oh, perfect. We're gonna watch a movie, and it's gonna be like some random adventure movie, and I can just not think. And instead, I was like, what the fuck? Like the whole
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man,
love
it's
that. What is it called?
what is it?
it's even on Netflix. King Arthur: Legend of the Sword from 2017.
Who came
This
up
will
with
be
that
this
title?
is the
Like,
next
can
D
you
list.
come up with a
Wasn't there
worse-
another King Arthur recently?
After the murder of his father, young Arthur's power-hungry uncle Vortigern seizes control of the crown, played by Jude Law, Robbed of his birthright, he grows up the hard way in the back alleys of the city, not knowing who he truly is. When fate leads him to pull the Excalibur sword from the stone, Arthur embraces his true destiny to become a legendary fighter and leader.
Classic.
Directed by Guy Ritchie.
Oh, that guy's famous for making bad movies.
Yeah, he is really good at making
Excellent.
bad movies. Wait, this guy plays Merlin? This, like,
I'll be right back.
Who?
this like 20-year-old blonde guy?
Excellent. I can't wait to watch
Okay,
it.
so this
It's
is
gonna
the
be
D
great.
list, is what we're saying essentially.
Yes.
Most likely.
I can't wait.
That movie was interesting though.
It was interesting. It was well made. It just was different than what I was expecting we were going to watch.
I don't know. There were also parts, so I read after what the director, I was like, well, what does this mean? What was the director doing? And in the interview, he's like, I'm not even sure what I was doing. In which case, I'm like, well, then what the what?
Well, neither were we.
I don't. Yeah. So.
We have been playing Moving Out. I haven't just been playing Elden Ring.
Well, that's next, is video games.
Whoa,
You played-
video games.
You've played Elden Ring like it's your food
Going out of style.
giving you your health. We've played Moving Out. Moving Out's great. We did start to get to where it gets a little crazier, like Overcooked. Not too crazy, but a little bit.
That's true. We had a very good experience using Steam's streaming couch co-op. So for games that do not support native online play, Steam will stream your game to somebody else's instance of Steam on their PC, and they can join your game like they're sitting in the same room with you. Mm-hmm. And for a game like Moving Out, that worked perfectly.
That
Ken, have
worked.
you ever used that functionality in Steam before? Where you
What's
can take a couch co-op game, so like a local multiplayer, and Steam will stream it online for you, and you can have somebody else join like they're local in the same room.
No,
But they're-
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, it worked really good. We played Moving Out with the Gamecasters on Ryan's Twitch, on the Gamecasters Twitch stream.
Wow.
It worked out really good. No issues.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That game's fun though.
It's
like
just
that one.
goofy and fun, and it's a little less, like it's a little less mechanical than Overcooked. I feel like Overcooked
Yeah.
can really get to the point where like somebody's got to be the chef, telling everybody
Yeah.
else what they're doing. Here's the orders. Do this. You need to do this and get on this, and that's burning. And put this out. Move this over here. And then there's 8 conveyor belts and. This is just sort of like, all right, can you come over here so we can chuck this couch out the window, please?
Yeah.
Well, we start to get a little more crazy, but it's still just like, dude, put something on this button. Like, it's nothing too
Yeah.
crazy yet.
Yeah.
So, it's good.
It's a fun game.
Well, while we're on video games, I did want to talk about Elden Ring. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
No, I haven't.
Is
I'm
it,
just kidding.
let me ask Emily, is it big? Maybe you don't know. Everywhere I go on the internet, I see Elden Ring stuff, but that's because I'm looking for it. Is it as big as I think it is?
I don't. On Day Night Dice, I kind of see stuff, but otherwise, no, I would never know it existed.
Okay. Never mind then.
But
Dang.
that's like me being like, have you. Oh my god, the cat is like attacking again. Look at him.
Oh, man.
But that's like me being like, did you see the latest paint color for living rooms? Like you'd be
That's
like,
true.
no,
Sure.
because what is he doing?
I don't exist in that circle. Yeah.
But I definitely have seen more when it comes to video games. I've seen people talking about it compared to like what I would normally see, which is nothing. So, you know, I think you guys are really like bringing it.
Well, I know, but I mean, it is sort of like making the front page of Reddit a lot. I feel like
It
and
feels like a big deal in the
Yeah.
video game.
that somebody
circle.
sort of rolled the clock back on how you make a game. You know, a
Yep.
AAA big
Or
budget
forward.
release, or
However
forward.
you want to think about it. Yeah.
You know, it's 48 gigs. It's not 148 gigs. It's a world that they were trying to hide how gigantic it was, right? And it has a poor user interface, very little user direction. no help for the player, extremely difficult, and everybody goes, "Oh, now I remember why I like video games."
Yep.
Because they're challenging, they're artistic, they're not systematic, and I feel like it breaks the mold in a way. It shakes things up in a way that needed to be done, and the fact that it was that different and then is extremely popular is very good for video games going forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll make people go, oh, all the stuff that we thought people liked, all the focus testing and this and that we were doing, was because we were focus testing it on idiots, apparently.
Or
And
we were only focus testing things we knew already worked, which is what I feel is the case in video games.
Yeah.
It has
And
seemed
movies,
like
probably.
Video games
Right.
have been the same for a while here.
Yeah.
Right. What's the difference between Horizon Forbidden West and Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Oh, not
Forbidden
much.
West looks better,
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
pretty much the
But
same.
That's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing. Like, it like really changed things up. I don't know.
Yeah. It's cool.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Okay. Are
We
you
have our
you
last-
ready? Are
Oh
you?
no, do I need a would you rather?
Yeah.
Do you need a
We'll
would
go
you rather?
first.
That's how we
Always bad
introduce
about
the
this.
segment every week, is by Ken
Ken going,
wondering
"Oh,
if
no."
he needed to have a would you
Was
rather
I supposed to
prepared.
have this? ready?
I'm sorry. Was I supposed
Would
to
you
have this
either?
ready? It is time for a would you
Oh, this
rather.
is my favorite song.
Do you want to start, Ben?
This section of the podcast is brought to you by Ben's Would You Rather notebook, where he'll turn to find his secret list of would you rather.
This chair is the most uncomfortable, squeaky chair I've ever sat in.
I won't give that one to you anymore. That's
What
normally
is
my
wrong
chair.
with this thing? Okay, what's your would you rather? Didn't you say you
Ooh,
had
I got one. You want me to go first?
Yeah, because
Go ahead.
Ben's like confused.
All right. In a crisis situation,
Oh man.
would you rather rely on the help of complete strangers or deal with it alone?
Oh shit. Like what kind of crisis we talking about?
I don't know. You
Anything?
can't get too specific.
I still want strangers to help. I guess I'm just gonna hope that they're actually
You
helpful.
want help, huh?
In a crisis
Well,
situation.
I don't know. It depends on the situation.
Let's call it a life-threatening situation.
I feel like
I'm-
it's not gonna hurt to have more people.
I want them to stay out of it. They're just
Me
going to
too.
screw it up.
Me too. I've got
I'll
it.
say- Save
yeah, but
you.
what if it's like
I've got it.
one of
I've
your
been
kids
playing
is
a lot of
choking? You'd
Elden
rather
Ring.
it's just
I
you
know
and
how to-
not other people to come help?
That's very specific. I'm thinking
You're
that
Well,
too
I-
specific.
in general, if you're in a situation where hard decisions have to be made, do
But
you
a hard
want
decision is different than like I need help right
Crisis
this second.
situation.
crisis situation? You got to do something, and you got to do it. You got to do it soon, and you have to. You're gonna.
No,
have
I'm
to-
not saying I'm gonna hand it to the strangers and watch. I just would like some help.
That's the question, right? Do you want the opinions of some other people, or the help, or skills, or whatever of some other people, or would you
But I
not
mean,
have to want to deliberate with other people?
can I
and just,
still just do it, but somebody helps me, or is it like I'm handing it off to them?
You don't know. They're complete strangers. Who knows?
just help.
what's- Yeah.
I'm gonna take help.
I feel like my gut response is that I would prefer to have to not have help.
Me
Now,
too.
in an ideal situation, you get the best of both worlds, and the people
Sure,
you're
of
working with are
course.
also reliable and they offer good advice and all this kind of stuff. But,
yeah,
you know,
this is a would you rather, not a
would
real
you
life
rather? Yeah.
situation.
Let me turn down this. I'm dancing in
Well,
space.
once again,
music
I'm
a little
not like handing them my whatever situation, just watching. But if I
Maybe
can have
you
someone
are.
come over and I'm still gonna ask for help. I'm not gonna pretend that I necessarily know how to do it.
Here, your child
And if I
is
do know how to
choking
do it
on a
better, then I'll
breakfast link.
do it while someone else
Breakfast
helps and
sausage.
calls 911.
A person runs up and says, "I'm a doctor. I can perform the Heimlich."
Yeah, I'm
Save
gonna
your
trust that
child.
they're not faking it. Like who
Okay.
would?
All right, man. You just hand away
You're
your child
telling
like
me
that?
if you're
I'm kidding.
if you're out
I don't
to
know what the
eat,
answer
if
is.
you're out to eat and one of your kids is choking and someone's like, "I'm a doctor, I know how to do it," you'd be like,
Yes.
"Shut up," and you would do it.
Get back. Watch me. Watch me. Don't spot me. And then I break my
All right.
child's ribs.
And yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say
which is actually how you perform the Heimlich properly.
that
I
is
believe.
like you essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I'm gonna ask for help. I'm not saying I'm gonna stop doing it, but they can probably help me. Someone can call 911 while I'm doing it. Ben's crossing out things like things.
He's past this question. He's over it. What's your question, Ben?
No, I am trying to decide what fits well next.
Oh, hey, Ben, you wanna go?
I have a backup if I need it in case this first one falls flat. Would you rather live by Hakuna Matata or YOLO?
Aren't they pretty much the same thing?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering when I read the question. But Hakuna Matata is sort of like a laid back,
It
no
means
worries.
no worries.
YOLO
It's not it,
is
sorta.
taking every experience because
the
you only live
extreme?
once.
I think I have to Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, it's
I'm
the
not
Hakuna
going to
Matata.
constantly be like jumping on new adventures, but I can be like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. I think
I
the
actually
root of the
do live Hakuna Matata every day, so this is an easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, the root of the question is, would you find happiness in no worries or happiness in living a life to the extreme?
Oh, I would love to have no worries. I would
No
love
worries,
to not
yeah.
be anxiety.
You're talking
crippled.
about burning both ends of the candle here, my
Constantly.
man? Jeez. Phew.
I
We
feel
know
like
what
I'm
your
always
answer
burnt
is.
at both ends. I
Yeah.
don't know. Hakuna Matata is probably a good way to live, but YOLO.
Yeah.
Okay, so I picked mine, but also I read it wrong the first time and I thought it was funny, and then I realized what it said. So
Uh-oh.
my thing is, would you rather wake up in the middle of an unknown forest or wake up in a rowboat on an unknown body of water?
Oh my God.
But when I first read it, it was, or wake up in a rowboat on an unknown body. And I thought it was like you all of a sudden woke up and you had like killed someone. And then under it, it was like of water. And so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is totally different.
What?
I thought it was like you woke up and you killed someone. It's not. So would you rather wake up in a forest or an unknown body of water,
The
essentially?
forest?
Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
100%, right?
Can I see the shore?
No. I assumed no.
Oh, under no circumstance.
it
I'll tell you
could-
what, here's what
it
you
could be
can
like
see
a lake,
is a
but you
lighthouse on a rocky outcropping.
I am afraid just thinking about it. Waking
Right?
up in the middle of an unknown body of water on a rowboat
Yeah,
and
that's
the
like
shore's
a
not in sight.
Nightmare Central.
Are you kidding me?
I guess I'm never
Now,
gonna
what if in that
survive
rowboat
this.
under you is also an unknown body
Right.
of someone?
You're sitting on top of
least
You're
you got
sitting
something to
on a
eat.
body. How would you? And you would just go straight to eating that body?
Maybe the body is you.
No, I
What if
would.
Yeah.
you
What if
rolled
the
the body
body is
over
you
and
and
it
you're
was
someone
you?
else?
Oh my gosh,
On
and
the-
I'm the lighthouse.
What if you are the lighthouse? That though reminds me, I know you heard me listening to one time. I listened to a podcast about an I Survive, and it was a guy who did end up in the ocean, and he survived for 438 days being lost in the
What?
ocean. Isn't
I
that the
can't-
most insane thing?
I can't think of many things more scary than waking up in a rowboat on a body of water. I mean that
Right.
genuinely.
Other than if it's your body that you wake up on.
I would have
Well, that would
no
just
idea what to do.
confirm
That's
that
a
it's
twist
over.
in time.
This is the end. I mean,
But I agree with you, Ken. I
Yeah,
have
I totally
no
agree.
skills. I have zero skill set to be able to deal with that situation.
Yeah.
Even
I
if I
just-
caught a fish, I'd be like, now what?
How would
like,
you
I
even
would
catch
still,
a fish?
I don't know. That's what I mean, though.
If I
Even if
jumped
someone's like,
into the
here's a
boat.
fish, I'd still be like, now what do I do? Like, I would be so stupid when it
Right.
comes to
Even
that.
if the fish jumped into the boat, yeah.
Jumps into
I-
my hands.
I guess I
Straight up.
I
just
don't
eat.
know
I
what
don't
I
know.
do.
What am I doing? I'd be real bad at that. I would die I wouldn't last 438 days. I can tell you that.
That's insane. Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
Wow. That's a good one.
Okay.
Forest? That's easy.
Yeah, forest. Like,
You'll find something eventually.
Yeah.
well, at least more options for food if I need to.
Sure.
It's
Or
not
just
a raw fish jumping in my
Die,
hand.
or at least die not being cooked alive by the sun with the alternative of flopping into the water and drowning to death. Like,
Yeah. Everything
ever
about
since I saw Castaway with Tom Hanks, I've thought about this exact scenario many times,
Man.
and I can't think of a more horrid way to like
That
be
is horrible.
lost in time and space
not to
than to
mention
be on a raft in the ocean.
thirsty and you
Yeah.
can't drink the
I-
water.
You could continue to make the forest option less appealing, and I would never
I would
pick the
still
water.
be like
Still,
forest.
yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah.
I'll live with the wolves.
It's
That's fine.
You
Right.
could be like,
doesn't-
it's the middle of winter, and you don't have any winter
God,
clothes.
just
winter
freeze to
though
death.
does. I mean, I'm not saying I would necessarily choose winter though. You ever been? I mean, you have been outside and you get cold. Fuck, that sucks.
It does, absolutely.
So if someone all of a sudden was like, "You're gonna have to sleep out here," and it gets dark at about 3, that is the only time when I'd be like, I don't know, maybe I should like get a fish or something.
Sure, but the thing is, on the rowboat in the middle of the water, I don't know anything. I don't know what to do at all.
You can hide under
Yeah.
that body of yours that you find
Yeah,
That's
just wear
true.
it like a
I
big
could
cape.
shield myself with myself.
with your dead body.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is you.
That's how I
As we
cook it.
know. Yeah. Oh,
That's how I cook dead meat.
Oh, no.
Beef
Just
jerky.
getting out of
What was
Ben
that?
jerky.
Ben jerky.
I need to watch that movie. Did you ever see it? It's got Harry Potter in it, Daniel Radcliffe, and it's called Swiss Army Man, I believe. And he
No, I
has a
haven't.
dead body with him.
Oh, I know what you're talking about though.
And he goes crazy, and the dead body is talking to him and stuff.
Yeah.
I should watch that.
I haven't
I've been
seen that,
meaning
though.
to for a long time.
I like how Harry
Sounds
Potter,
cool.
not Daniel
right.
Radcliffe.
And
Nobody
what's
knows.
it? It's the guy. He's in the new Batman movie, which I also need to see.
Oh man.
Next time we'll
Batman.
talk about the Batman.
Did you guys
We
see it
gotta
already?
No, we need to.
No,
Yeah.
but we will.
It's on the
I
list.
want to see that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. I think that's it for this episode. Episode number 40 of the Date Night Dice podcast. If you want more Date Night Dice stuff, go check out our YouTube channel. We have video versions of the podcast. We have Ken and I talking about Elden Ring. We have all kinds of Elden Ring gameplay. Maybe we can somehow link Ken's Elden Ring gameplay if anybody's curious about that. And also we stream on Twitch sometimes. Maybe our Gloomhaven has been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we also stream our D-list movie reviews to Twitch and some of our bonus episodes. If you want to get a hold of us, contact with us, or send any notes or whatever, you can always DM us on Instagram or send messages to benmdatenightdice@gmail.com. So for everybody here at the Date Night Dice podcast,
It gets
I'm not going to say
sloppier.
studios.
It gets sloppier.
I'm falling
every
apart.
time. From the Date Night Dice Studios.
Guys, I'm stressed out about this work project. I'm sorry. It's a mess. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.